you communicate, like they're not used to that like sort of phrasing. So like to them, they're like, well, no one I talk to speaks to me like this. Does that make sense? No. It's tough to explain.
Because like I truly have to have this goal in urban society. And like you said, it's just I have really street. People know that.
No, I think everyone is aware that you come from a good place and have a good heart. I think it's just like
Well, that's the thing. Those strangers don't know that.
right.
I saw the notifications and I'm like, what is going on?
The impression's always going to be based on like the way you say things, like not necessarily what you're saying, right?
What's like the one that you don't know? Not that.
You all right?
Dude, no, this
You don't
is.
want to talk about it?
No, I'm happy to talk about it. I fell down the stairs.
I told you I thought we had to beat somebody up. I thought
Anyway, no, it was actually.
I thought I was gonna beat somebody up.
And I really appreciate how you say it. No, it was actually really, really bad. I actually. This doesn't look that bad, but this is before.
So chat.
This is on Monday, and I just put this down off my
Wait till Richmond is
So it's actually
Nah, something go well.
Just like the who's it?
Is it past them?
Yeah,
So who are you calling?
the stairs were really helpful.
Actually, when in doubt, building management.
I'll see what happens on the bill.
Robert, I can call.
Let's go.
Maybe.
Okay, awesome.
It's like a small facility for like a 17 years. I show you the chance of me paying a small amount. Like, students need a difference. But like, I said like over $5 or $7. I think $5. Wait. Sorry. I'm not. Wait, fix it. YouTube. Oh, switch. Dang it. Get it on the mix up. Like, everybody needs to know if it's going to be done here.
Yeah.
I'm done. Can you close that door, please?
That like a bomb that like it's yeah. That was
I like the fit.
Thank you.
There we go.
Perfect.
It's an easy area.
Okay, wonderful.
I'll let you know when you're ready.
Yeah.
We're gonna do roll call for minutes and then you'll be good to go. Good evening, everyone. Today, banging in at 6:32 p.m., and we're going to turn over to the Internal Affairs Director to conduct a roll call. Please say here when your name is called.
Okay. Benchtalk.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Singh.
Here. Wait, Tanya's
Farmar.
here.
McNally. Keen. Chapin. Hunter. Wrong Hunter.
Oh, here.
Javed. Gardner. Hardesty. Rossler. Carlson. Valadez. Yeah. Lee. Garrettson. Sullivan. Bourne. Suter. Ware. Shelton. Henning. Stockwood. Liu. Opie. Harris. Hosha. Morse. Bernstein. Indubsi. Schmidgel. Green. Fry. Adejola. Hess. Ain. Got you. Faust. James.
Here.
Blackburn. Ellis. Adkins. Montero.
Here.
Ayapia. Crepes? Yeah, I know. Crepes? Baldwin? Black? Dominic? Rome? Montgomery? Reed? Limke? Cisneros? Gebretsidik? Escueda? Suarez? Bain Jimmy? Ritter? Castro? Yingling? Robinson? Brooker? Mosher? Beasley Murray? Casevin? Young? Stark? Hunter? Harrington? Haney? Hunt? Paredes? Lamping? Lopez? Viala? Bele? Coblin? Tran? Boyd? Dockney? Cooper? Highland? Monty? Chaudhry? Brima? Ivana Dominic? Melee.
All right, so with that, we have a quorum. Excellent. Yes, Antonique. Great. If you come in late, please alert the Internal Affairs Director. If there's no additions or corrections to be made to the minutes, minutes will be approved. Seeing none, therefore the minutes are approved. Please turn your attention now to Youngha Risler, our speaker for Sexual Assault Education Prevention Center.
Hi, all. Is this on? Okay. Hi, y'all. So, yes, I'm with the Sexual Assault Prevention and Education Center here on campus. You might know us from doing things like Jayhawks Give a Flock, but we kind of just wanted to make sure students on campus knew of some of the other activities and involvement we have just to get the word out there of all the wonderful work we're doing and help promote our center. So about SAPEC, I don't know if y'all know, but we recently moved from the Burge Union to the Dole Center. Yes, not the Dole Institute. Two very different places. Learned that the hard way. So now we're at the Dole Center on the 4th floor. Come check us out. But basically what we do is we are promoting healthy boundaries and relationships on campus, all with the aim of preventing sexual assault and violence. So we have some programs that you have probably heard about, including Jayhawks Give a Flock, as well as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Today is actually the first day of Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so we're going to have a bunch of programming throughout campus all month long, so look out for that. We also started the What Were You Wearing installation, and we also have a seminar, Prevention is Possible, which is required for sorority fraternity life, athletes, and a couple other groups on campus to kind of just make sure everyone is aware that gender-based violence prevention is completely possible and we're working towards it. A couple other things, including the Men's Action Project, staff and faculty engagement, and the Prevention is Possible study, which happens at the end of senior year for students to kind of just track how students have progressed throughout KU with their education of sexual assault prevention. So kind of this is like the root of what we're here for is we're kind of trying to get the word out of other resources we have for organizations on campus. I know y'all represent a bunch of organizations on campus, so this might be useful for y'all here in Senate or for your individual institute or programming. Additionally, we kind of just are hoping that these trainings will be useful for people who are hoping to go into some type of social impact work. So think social welfare, teaching, whatever it might be. These are just some things to be aware of. So we have some individualized trainings, Consent at KU, just kind of looking at the work we've done so far. We have sex, drugs, and alcohol, kind of looking at the interactions that those different areas can have upon each other. Relationship goals, reading the room, which is environmental design. We really like working with sororities and fraternities with this to kind of just understand how our spaces, especially in situations like parties and stuff, can either be productive or can be disruptive to safety in the space, the art of rejection, sexual violence 101, creating consent culture, and trauma-informed response practices. So those are kind of just our overarching trainings that we're trying to promote right now. Additionally, we have some consultation services for clubs and organizations if either violence has occurred or there's been some miscommunication of boundaries or whatever it might be. We want to just make sure clubs and organizations know how to process through instances of violence or mishaps within relationships. So we have restorative justice practices for organizations, bystander intervention while navigating bar and social environments, blameless retrospective program review for organizations / event effectiveness. So yeah, that's kind of the gist. Here is a QR code if your club or organization would be interested in contacting us for any of these things, or if you're interested in getting involved with Sexual Assault Awareness Month this month. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our presenter. If there's any questions for them, we could take a few. Yes, CC Hunter.
Thank you for your presentation. I wanted to ask if there were any ways for our Students' Assembly to get more involved with SAPEC?
Yeah, so we have volunteer opportunities all throughout the year, but especially in the months of August, which is kind of when we're doing the Jayhawks Give a Flock stuff, as well as in the month of April for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I know this month we're going to be tabling right in front of Watson Library a lot, so look out for us. If you see us, we are going to have a QR code that's going to have like more information about volunteering. We should have it on this also, but we don't. Or if you want to reach out through the email or the QR code, just let me know and we can get you guys involved.
Any further questions? Yes, CC, for follow-up.
Thank you for that answer. I wanted to follow up about the SAPEC Advisory Board. I know that they haven't met since about January, and it's unlikely that they'll meet either this month or May before the semester ends. Next year, what do you think would be something for the SAPEC Advisory Board to perhaps look to do a better job of meeting and also providing support to SAPEC?
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone knows, but we have an advisory board that's kind of external from our office that we look towards to kind of just see where students' heads are at and the best ways for us to engage in the community. I'm not a part of the advisory board, so I can't exactly speak to their meeting or lack thereof. But I would just say the best way we can like get involved with them is kind of making those meetings just like very planned, set in stone events at the beginning of the year, and also maybe bringing in voices from outside. So there is new energy and life in that organization to help us get advice and training help.
Great. And I think we might still be looking for a chair for SAPEC, perhaps. So if you're interested, please alert Emma Hardesty and Andrew Murga. All right. Seeing no questions, thank you very much to our presenter. And with that, we'll move into our officer reports. So please welcome the student body president.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Ye-
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Stop being I do not recognize your point of order. It's not taking an order. This is a dilatory motion. Please respect our student body president. Thank you. All right, guys, lock in.
Okay, I'm forming a ad hoc advisory board around safety downtown. The chancellor's office has asked us for some recommendations so they can start their planning with the city of Lawrence. Not a super set plan agenda. I think our thoughts could really guide that and guide how we choose to use our time and tackle this issue. I think that a lot of students are really invested in making sure downtown is safe. It's a area that's definitely getting a lot more attention recently. The city of Lawrence is investing a lot more in it. The police department are as well. So yeah, reach out if you'd like to be included on that. Would love any perspective or ideas. Can't do everything by myself here.
Great, thank you. Next up, welcome our student body vice president.
Okay, so just a little bit of an update on parking. So Oliver Hall is going to be approximately 173 spots and then 688 spots. So 179 total there. And then at this current time, it's going to be all yellow spots. And then the grass area by Price, as I stated in my last officer report, adjacent to the sand and volleyball courts, kind of right next to Cat Fed, if you all know what I'm talking about. There's been like 3 or 4 renditions of what it's supposed to be, but right now, what the parking, the director of parking is anticipating is that it's going to be about 175 to 200 spaces. And it's going to be, for a majority part, it's going to be red and blue spots. So that's going to be faculty and staff, if you're not aware. But then on the opposite side, it's going to connect to all the lots behind Price. And then the kind of most, I guess, to be the most eastward entire side of that lot is going to turn to yellow. So it'd be about 100 more yellow spots there. So, yeah, I think that's it for me.
Cool, thank you.
Any questions?
CC.
What's up, CC?
Forgive me if this is a rather uninformed question.
Yes.
But where does the money that goes into parking passes and also parking tickets go?
So the way it's been explained to me is that it's kind of like they're essentially a non-for-profit organization. So all the money they get is reinvested back into whether it be refining new lots, like blacktopping them, building new roads, and then going back into transit too. Yeah.
Start. Organize the start for a question.
I know you've been working on parking. I wanted to ask you about maybe asking the commission, whoever
Mhm.
would be the right guy to ask, about implementing maybe a parking lot spot availability system. I've heard that a lot of parking garages around the nation kind of have almost this sense of
Yeah.
rights.
Like at KCI, kind of, is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do have like cameras on most of the lots, but I'm going to take a jab at it here. I think it would be too expensive to implement is what would be my guess.
Organizes in Faust for a question. Great. Yes, Andrew.
Just for some added color on that, that is something that transit and transportation have really thought about. But with snow coming in, with the weather that we have here in Kansas, it would just be too expensive to monitor and to fix all of those. Sorry, to fix every single sensor in every single parking space when they shovel the snow and take up all those spaces with all the snow that piles up. It would break the sensors, and they have no idea to. It's really hard for them to track when weather would be inclement and how they can keep up with all the repair that it would take for all of those systems. So it's something we've thought about and we've discussed with them, but it's just out of our price range at this moment.
Thanks for that. Do we have? Okay, yes, Aiden.
For the second lot, how many of those will be ADA accessible spots?
Not sure off the top of my head.
Seeing no further questions, thank you very much for Student Body Vice President. And with that, welcome our graduate Student Body President.
All right, a few things from my side. I'd like to, first of all, acknowledge the just concluded block funding. In my opinion, despite the defunding of the docket that I represent, still a win, and I'd like to acknowledge Representative Brooker and Fisher for their representation. There was also a GSUB physical meetup that just concluded, strategizing on this coming year, and I feel like the team is going to do a good job in this coming year. Also, the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Affairs has a charity event, the One Day 1KU that we are warming up to. I hope some of you can donate to this fund. It goes to emergency funds for graduate students. Another thing is there's a ongoing interview process for this particular docket, my successor. If anyone fits the shoe, please feel free to apply for it. This is in anticipation for my graduation this semester, and all the best to the presidential candidates. That is it.
Okay, thank you. With that, please welcome our treasurer to the podium.
Let's go, Charlie.
Hello, everyone. As of today, we've got 8,168 left in the WenToNet fund and no funding bills for the cycle. But line applications are all the way reviewed, and the summary and test spreadsheets are uploaded within the teams for line item deliberations if you're involved in that at all ahead of Friday's deliberations. And then with the end of the year rapidly approaching, if you know of any student organization who's been awarded funding through Wednesday night line, block, etc., they need to contact Victoria before April 29th in order to have that funding allocated before the end of the year. With that, I'll go ahead and yield my time.
Great. Any questions for treasurer? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. That will move on to our first item of legislation, which is Bill 2026-078, a bill to exempt the Black Student Union from the prohibition of funding from travel.
Wait, I can't. Yeah, I could send it to you.
That'd be great.
Okay. I'll just forward you this out. So I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I just sent it to you.
just send it to my personal email?
Oh, your personal one. Wait, I can send it to speaker.
So let's break this down automatically.
There you go.
Okay, hello everybody.
Please turn your attention towards Amara.
So I'll be presenting a bill on exempting the Black Student Union from prohibition of travel funding. So what is the Black Student Union? So we are an organization that serves the KU campus with cultural, educational, and social initiatives aiming to build leaders, promote unity, and contribute to student success. We want to continue to uplift our communities so that we may all succeed in defying any odds against us. We also hope to develop students in their personal lives and leave KU with integral and virtuous students. We believe these are the keys to the excellence, and we hope that students will find value in both themselves and in their communities within the BSU message. So what we're asking for a travel exemption for is the Big 12 Conference on Black Student Government. So this conference is an opportunity to provide student leaders from various colleges and universities with a phenomenal workshop and personal development experience. The conference will address the many issues that student leaders face in their respective campuses, including but not limited to mental health, education, retention, academic success, interpersonal relationships, student apathy, financial literacy/management, career exploration, and much more. So why we need this travel exemption? Next year, the conference will be held at Baylor University in Waco, Texas. In order for the BSU Exec Board to travel and pay the participation fee, we need to be exempt from the current Student Senate rules on utilizing the line funding for travel. Previously, we were able to use our line funding, and we are hoping for another exemption this year. So the benefits we see from this conference, this conference provides networking and fellowship opportunities and promotes and fosters student success not only on our campus but others as well. The conference planning committee has been working diligently to ensure all student leaders are provided with a rewarding experience, equipping them with tools to make a difference on each campus. The leadership skills participants will gain at this conference is immeasurable and will prepare them for managing the organization in these changing times. So that's all. Thank you.
Great timing. We have a few more minutes for questions. Yes, Yvonne Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Do you anticipate your organization seeking an exemption in future years for travel funding?
Questions asked about future exemptions. Speaker may answer.
So yes, because this conference is ongoing every single year, this will be the 50th conference. So it is something we want to continue year after year, and we will need a travel exemption again.
To recognize the lane.
Did you say that this is for use of Wednesday night funding or line funding?
Line.
Okay, seeing no further questions, thank you very much. All right, so now we're looking for speeches or motions on the floor. All right, I'll answer motions. If these are speeches, thumbs up or thumbs down, please. Okay, Jeff Brooker. Okay, there's been a call to previous question. Yes. What is your request for information, Lane? No, these travel exemptions are the reason. These bills are why we are like the exemption to line being used for travel. If we approve these bills, then the line committee is free to choose to give any amount of funding to travel for these organizations. Yes, Lane.
where in the Constitution is line funding prohibited from use for travel? I can't find that. prohibition.
5, yes. Share organizes finance, Nathan. I'll just.
So there's the travel exemption process, which you can read through that. But another thing that's going to be important for line deliberations on Friday too, there's Title V, Article 5, Section 7, applicable regulations. It says organizations receiving line item funding who are eligible for CDF funding must comply with the regulations for CDF funding. Otherwise, organizations must comply with all regulations for Wednesday night funding. So that just says that Wednesday night funding regulations apply if CDF funding regulations don't apply for line. And that's where the travel stuff comes in.
Great. Yes. There's been a motion from Jeff Berger to call the previous question. There's a second from Victoria Hunter. That poll will be posted shortly. Assembly can stand at ease.
Great work, Henry.
All right, that poll is posted. You have 90 seconds to get out there and vote. While we're voting, a vote in favor would mean that we grant the Black Student Union the exemption so they can possibly receive funding for travel. A vote opposed means that you do not want them to possibly get the exemption and get travel funding. All right, that poll is now closed this passes unanimously.
Let's go.
All right, great work, guys. Now we are on to 2026-079, a bill to extend mock trial from the prohibition of funding for travel. That's okay. We just have a lot of files.
Whatever, bro. Whatever.
Hey, I'm here. Hey,
All right. A little shorter than finance.
That's okay. I'll be fast.
All right, guys. Please direct your attention to Timothy Wood.
Alrighty. Hi, I'm Timothy Wood. I'm the treasurer for KU Mock Trial. I'm going to try and make this short, but we're just asking for the same thing BSU did, prohibition, so that we can next year use any potential line items funds to go to tournaments. Just a bit of what our organization does. That's a picture of us from, I want to say, September of last year. We have about 40 or so active members, just depending on the month. As of what we do, literally all our organization does is travel and compete at mock trial tournaments. That's it. We have a case once a year that we practice with 2 to 3 times a week, preparing the case for those trials. It's about 250 pages long, bunch of exhibits, bunch of different witnesses with legal documents, indictments, that kind of thing in there. Each trial we go to is an entire weekend. It consists of 4 rounds, 2 of which are prosecution or plaintiff, depending on the year. The other 2 are defense. You'll do an opening statement. You'll call 3 witnesses of your own. You'll ask them questions. Then you'll cross-examine 3 of the other side's witnesses, then do a closing argument. Like, you ever watched Law and Order, anything like that? It's just that we LARP as attorneys. There's quite a lot of benefits for doing this. I mean, it's kind of similar to now. We are actually up presenting a case to a jury or a set of actual judges who are real lawyers, are real judges, have done things like that in the real world. Yeah, it really helps with public speaking, oral advocacy. There's also a lot of benefit with it specifically for pre-law students because you actually have to learn and remember the rules of evidence. I have that book with me in my bag, and I've memorized way more than I would like to admit, simply so I can be a better attorney in those rounds. For statistics-wise, our organization, as far as I can tell, has been competing since 1998, maybe sooner, but that's how far the Wayback Machine will let me figure out. We've been competing at a national level since 2016, so this will be our 10th year. Out of about 790 teams in the country, we're ranked 57. For some context, Mizzou is ranked 170. Cornell University, an actual Ivy League. I see the clap. Cornell University, an actual Ivy League school, is ranked 59, so we're pretty high up there, which is fun. As of this year, we have 29 individual awards and a bunch of different tournament wins that I wasn't able to quite add up in time for today. For some fundraising efforts we do, that number you see on the right is what we raised this year to fund tournaments that we went to in this year. So we do it every single year. About $10,000 this year. We sell merchandise, we work concessions at KU football games, do percentage nights with restaurants, things like that, because it's expensive to travel, and we do appreciate Student Senate helping us out. It's unfortunately just not enough, so we try and supplement it with our own fundraising efforts as well. That's pretty much what our organization does. Like I said, all we're asking for is the ability to ask for travel funding for next year. It's everything.
Great. Questions? Yes, Henry.
Is it just one competition a year?
No, it's, I think this year we went to 6 or 7. It's I'd say an average of once a month.
Okay. Good deal.
It's recognized as Yvonne Dominic.
There we go. Thank you for your presentation. I was
Yeah.
curious for each conference about how many people do you take and what is the process in which you select people to go to the conference?
So there's 2 semesters. For the fall semester, we put people on teams more or less randomly, depending on availability, things like that. Spring semester, it is a little bit more, I don't want to say selective. It's you put teams on a higher level based on experience, but everyone still goes to a tournament. It's just who goes. Typically, we only get for each tournament an ability to send 2 separate teams just so that there's not too many of Kansas at one tournament. Just makes it hard for them to do things on their end. We have 5 teams. Typically, we'll try and get every single person to at least 2 tournaments in the fall, and depending on budget, how many we can in the spring. I don't know if that fully answered your question. It's kind of complicated, but everyone goes to tournaments.
Henry, briefly, follow up.
Me?
Oh, I thought you.
Yeah, I do. Is it criminal or is it civil too?
It's both. It alternates every year. This year was criminal. Next year it's going to be civil.
Okay. Ivana, briefly.
Can you go back to your fundraising slide, please?
Sure.
Does your organization, to the best of your knowledge, plan to do these fundraising efforts next year as well, or?
Our goal is to raise more money than that next year, yes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much to our speaker. Looking for speeches, looking for motions on the floor. CC Hunter.
I called previous question.
Okay, CC Hunter has called the previous question. That's been seconded by Rome Hunt. With that, poll will be posted. Currently is posted 90 seconds. Yeah. poll is now closed with a result of 37 approve and 1 opposed. This bill clearly passes. All right, that moves us into 2026-080, a bill to exempt LASU from the prohibition on funding for travel. Oh, okay. Do you want to Teams it to me or email me real quick? You're good. Whichever. You can also just plug it in. Send a speaker. No, I get it.
Thank you.
All right, please turn your attention towards Giselle.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for having me today. My name is Giselle, and I'm the student senator for Latin American Student Union. Just a quick overview of the presentation. I'll be going over who we are, our impact, our funding and support, our relationship with Student Senate, why we're requesting travel, and then our constitution. So who we are as an organization. So we used to be known as HALO. We've been around for quite a while now, and our mission is just to create a safe space for Latino students, creating a home away from home, and connect students to organization or to resources and opportunities. So our impact. So Latino students make up around 11% of KU student population, and that has been reflected in our General Assembly meetings. We used to have around 20 to 30 people averaging. Now we have 60 to 80. So we've grown a lot. We also tried to serve as a hub for connecting Latino student organizations across the state. So we do a lot of collaborations with Rockhurst, JCC, K-State, and many other orgs. Our funding and support. We are an independent organization. Most of our support comes from ourselves. We do a lot of fundraisers on WESCO, and just a few partnerships that we have include KU's MGC's Council, Mexico Lindo KC, Ángeles Paneria, and we're beginning to make more with the Hispanic Alumni Network. Just our relationship with Student Senate, we have asked for line item funding in the past. Right now, we have used half of our line item, and we plan to use it for our last 2 big events of the semester. So our reason for travel, we want to attend the Hispanic Associations of Colleges and University, which is going to be October 31st and November 2nd. On an individual level, this will help us gain skills, resources, also allow us to network with employers, graduate programs, and other Latino organizations. On a greater scheme, on a greater scale of things, we want to become a Hispanic serving institution, which Unfortunately, the threshold for that is 25%, but we can become an associate Hispanic serving institution because we reached the threshold of 10% because we are at 11 right now. So that is the purpose for wanting to go to this conference. As per our Constitution, Article 1, Section 3, Part 6, a lot of I'm sorry, before I read that, we are striving, like I said, to be a Hispanic serving institution. So we implemented that in our Constitution. So travel to state and national conferences to successfully establish the University of Kansas as an associate member institution as the Hispanic serving institution upon accomplishing more than a 10% Hispanic student population, which we are at 11 right now. The second one, the president shall work with supporting parties to increase the Hispanic student population at the University of Kansas. We feel that if we are an associate member institution, that will bring more Latino students to the KU population. Another one would be Article 5, Section 2, Part 6. The vice president shall assist the president to connect with the appropriate external communities and departments to increase the Hispanic student population at the University of Kansas, like I said. So that is our overall greater mission for the Latin American Student Union, and which is why we are requesting travel to this conference. Thank you guys so much.
Great. Questions? Yes, Jeff.
Thank you for your presentation. I would like to ask, I know it's a little bit of a ways off, but do you have an estimate for how many people you plan on taking to the event?
Questions asked by attendance, speaker may answer.
For right now, we are just thinking of taking our executive members, but as the years go on, that'll probably change.
If there's no objections, we'll extend the speaker's time for questions for 2 minutes. Yes, Antonique.
I'm just curious, do you have like maybe a percentage of how much the Hispanic population has increased? Like maybe over like
Questions asked about
3 years
Hispanic
or so?
population trends, speaker may answer.
No, you're good. I know I'm a senior. When I was a freshman, I know it was at 8%. It's been 4 years. We're at 11 right now. So that's all I know for now for statistics.
I think there's okay. Further hands or questions? Yes, Emma Hardesty.
Emma Hardesty, Secretary of the Rights and Affairs Council. I just wanted to ask, are you like for being an assistant, what I forgot the exact term.
Hispanic serving.
Yeah, to be accredited for that, is it required for you to go to the conference?
Not necessarily, but this would be our first time going. So I think we're just trying to put our foot in the door. We've never done something like this before, and we're trying to get as much support as we can to become an associate Hispanic serving institution.
Okay, seeing no further questions. Wow, that's why you're not on the baseball team. Thank you very much to our speaker. All right. Looking for speeches, looking for motions. Yes, Jeff Burker. Okay, we have a call a previous question from Jeff Burker. We have a second from Jack Ritter. Poll is live. 90 seconds, get out there.
Are you gesture maxing right now?
Yeah.
Order while voting, please. Thank you. Poll is now closed. The result of 37 in favor and 1 opposed, this bill clearly passes. All right, now we're going to move into our block package presentation from the chair of block. This is Bill 2026-082, as was amended by the Finance Council. Keep in mind, Finance Council has the sole power to line item amend this. The Assembly does not. Please, or
Give me
yeah.
one-
While we do that,
Actually, I should be ready.
great.
Boom. Okay. How long is it again? 25?
Mhm.
Is it 25? Okay, cool. All good. Okay. So this is my presentation for the fiscal year 27 block allocations. This passed Finance Council last week, and then we had our deliberations for block on Friday the 13th because we seem to love meeting on Friday the 13th for all of our funding allocations. So what is block funding for anybody who isn't aware? It's roughly $700,000 allocated out of the Student Senate activity fee. So if you remember this chart from my fee presentation, we've now, when the fee package passed, we did everything above those last three. And then now we have the block funding allocation circled there. It supports long-established programs and initiatives for success at the university. It's taken straight from the Constitution. And this year we had a committee of 10 voting members. The amount we have to allocate largely depends on fee review. As you can see here with the Student Senate activity fee, keep in mind this is the fiscal year 26 fee, so this is not up to date with what you've all approved for this year. Block is typically run very similar to fee review. It's also a large amount of money, but there are actually no guidelines for how many seats there are in the Constitution. I'm planning to amend this next cycle along with a bunch of other things regarding fee and the budget code. But this year I chose to have 4 seats from finance, 3 from community affairs and rights. But please let me know if you have any feedback here. Here is a breakdown of the Student Senate activity fee this year. For this presentation, we're going to be in actual dollars, not fee dollars like we were before. So keep in mind, though, that one fee dollar is equal to $46,351. The top chart here is what our treasurer has budgeted in fee dollars, and then the bottom chart is just that converted to actual dollars. So you'll see here that there's going to be less in Wednesday Night Fund, a similar amount in block, if not a bit of a decrease, if you look at last year's budget book, and then line item will be around the same, if not a little bit more. So yeah, this year's fee multiplier, it's comprised of fall, spring, and summer enrollment, where the fee is assessed at a half rate. And just please remember the treasurer is the trustee for this fee. They're going to budget it how they best see fit, subject to your approval through the block and line proposals. So block is typically very tight in terms of funding, and this year is no exception. We had around 30,000 less available to allocate this year, and then over 100K more in requests compared to last year. That means we couldn't even keep all the organizations flat if we wanted to. That's a really difficult scenario, especially given the position block was left in after fee review. This year, there was a $442,000 gap, $442,000 gap between the total funding asks and the amount we could reasonably allocate given the projected revenue of the Student Senate activity fee. So that bottom number, that was our proposal, and that was also the maximum amount budgeted by the treasurer, and in a way that would be financially responsible. That's not a hard ceiling, but allocating any more would risk diminishing the amounts that are available for line and Wednesday night funding. That is pretty dangerous, and that's actually allocating more than our revenue is how we got into a deficit 2 years ago. So both the committee and Finance Council chose to keep that amount kind of at our maximum of $706,832. Here's some other considerations. There's a couple few unique cases this year, and I'll explain those on each individual slide. By unique cases, I mainly mean applicants who've interacted with some of our other streams of funding. This year, no hearings were conducted. That's how it's been for the past couple of years. I know we did some online hearings during COVID, and perhaps before that, there were some in-person hearings, but we haven't been doing hearings for block for a little while. But almost half of the applicants provided a short video alongside a very detailed application. This is an area of improvement and something that I'm trying to take steps towards, especially this year, to align block more with fee. It's a lot of money, so I'm hoping that encouraging these video submissions this year and then potentially making them required for next year are some good steps to give some more context and make this look a little bit more similar to fee. You can also find the recording of deliberations on the Student Senate YouTube channel, and then all of the application files are in the Finance Council channel. Line is not going to be recorded, but there will be minutes, so just an FYI there. Finance Council can and did amend this package with a majority vote, and I will explain that when we get to it. Let's see. A couple other things to keep in mind. The package will require a 2/3 vote to pass tonight, similar to fee. Also similar to fee, if we don't pass it here tonight, because we only have one legislative cycle remaining, the chances of us reconvening, if you choose to remand the bill, is very, very low, just given the amount of time that's remaining and the fact that we still have line deliberations and all of that going on this Friday. To get the best understanding of the package as a whole, I'd suggest you look at the bill on tonight's agenda. And you can also look for the block funding summary information sheet in the Finance Council channel, or specific applications to better understand each individual request. So one thing I did differently this year, I provided a short period for committee members to share and agree upon a couple priorities for the allocations. These priorities, they were non-binding, but they helped guide our decision-making throughout deliberations. The first was protecting student wages. For block, the only very required delineation we have to have for every group is whether that funding is coded as wages, wages/salaries, or other operating expenses. So you'll see for a couple places we specified our allocations in a bit more detail, but that is kind of our core requirement there. That's distinct from fee, where the trustees have full control over how their allocations are spent. Second, we chose to maintain current levels of service wherever possible, rather than increasing for some groups over others. Given the financial situation of block this year, any increases would certainly come at the cost of other groups. So any increases we did grant, we made sure to provide strong justification. Third, another goal was not passing the buck to line item allocations. That happened a lot during fee, and that's a big reason why block is so difficult this year. The committee strongly agreed that the buck stops here. Thank you, Harry Chairman. Fourth, looking at the bigger picture and considering what kind of groups should be funded by block funding, this kind of stems from the same motivation behind some of the discussion surrounding recycling and other services on fee. The idea here was just because this does trickle down from the Student Senate activity fee and the required student fee, this is still things that students are paying for at the end of the day. So the committee chose to have some introspection about what kind of services students should and should not be paying for. So here's the first slide, the first allocation. I will do a quick breakdown on how to read this. It's very similar to fee. You have their ask up there. You have the number in parentheses is the difference between fiscal year 26. So this current year we're in and last year's allocations. We have in parentheses, the difference between that. So alternative breaks ask for $1,000 increase. Then you have what they were granted in fiscal year 27. Here it's a little bit unique because it was amended. And I'll explain that amendment. Then you also have a resolution if there is one. This is the only resolution that was included. And then in the big box, which unfortunately a lot of the ones here are going to be read tonight, is the change from fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 27. So KU Alternative Breaks, it's a student-led organization that provides immersive volunteer experiences that educate students and foster commitment to service. Mainly, they provide opportunities to travel and volunteer during academic breaks. This year, the committee was primarily concerned with their pay structure, which would allocate $21,620 between 3 positions working for 46 weeks. The committee also chose to cut $440 worth of t-shirts from the request. Based on the concerns brought about the pay structure, a resolution was passed for alternative breaks to include rationale as to why some student workers are paid and others are not in future block applications to enhance transparency and understanding. For a little bit more context here, we made it a point that during deliberations, we're able to contact the people who were listed on the application, and that was brought up to the people who applied. But at the same time, we were meeting late into like 8 or 9 p.m. on Friday the 13th, which, if you remember, that was right before spring break. So it's unreasonable to expect a response, but this resolution kind of stems from searching for an answer for some of those concerns that were brought, and a lot of that was discussed during finance, to be clear. That led us to the amendment we had during Finance Council. This amendment increased their allocations by $1,500 compared to the original proposal, and it also shifted away funding from their storage unit and then their other supplies towards all wages. That was based upon a request from the organization during Finance Council, along with the committee's priority of preserving wages. Those funds came from the UDK, which I will explain further on their slide. Next, you're all familiar with KU bands. They have more than 600 students from nearly every major at KU. Student Senate has supported bands for decades, but unfortunately we were in a position with block funding this year to grant them an increase. We found ourselves in a similar spot with the KU Biodiversity Institute and Natural History Museum. They offer exhibits, collections, programs, and laboratories that provide unique learning spaces for KU students across many different disciplines. They also offer free admission to all KU students, so make sure you go and check it out if you have not yet. This $20,000 we provide supports 6 visitor services assistants and then 1 galleries and exhibits assistant. The Center for Community Outreach, or CCO, provides meaningful service opportunities to KU students that address specific community needs. They actually used to be part of Student Senate. They served as our service arm. Since then, they've split off, but this year they still took a small reduction as the committee chose not to fund some of their shirts and non-shirt merchandise, along with their funding, reducing their funding for their ITSW keynote event and printing. So you'll see the split here is $45,450 towards student wages and then $12,250 towards other operating expenses. Next is KU Forensics, which is a student organization for the KU debate program. They're actually one of our winningest teams at KU, winning the National Debate Tournament Championship in 2018, and they were the runner-up in 2025 and 2024. This year, they also took a small reduction to the funds that we provide. Mainly, most of their funds go to, or all their funds here, I'll show on the slide, go to funding travel support for students. That is the whole point of their organization. And the more travel support we provide for them, the more students are able to compete on a national level. Jayhawk Motorsports, or JMS, provides hands-on engineering experience through the construction of fully electric Formula SAE race cars to compete against other universities from across the country. They draw students from all majors, not just mechanical engineering, but you can get credit for a mechanical engineering capstone through participating in JMS. They were kept flat this year, giving them the same level of funding for the materials they use to build their competition car. I'm sure many of you are also familiar with the Lead Center. It's the Performing Arts Theater over on West Campus. They employ around 100 KU students in a variety of paid positions, including stage technology, video and webcasting, ticketing and patron services, marketing, graphic design, and a whole lot more. This year, they took a small cut to the funding we provide for student wages, and we were once again unable to provide funding for their Jayhawk Live series, which was the other part of their request. The Military Affiliated Student Center serves as a centralized resource for the military affiliated community here at KU to help achieve their academic, professional, and personal goals. Most of the allocations here, all of the allocations here go to help process pay their student staff who do things like processing VA certifications, staffing the front desk, helping answer phone calls and emails, keeping the center open, and a whole lot more. This year, we chose not to provide the $500 in extra funding that they received in fiscal year 26 for their supplies and expenses. This is the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Affairs, formerly the Office of Graduate Studies. They play a pivotal role in advancing graduate education at the University of Kansas. Their $148,000 allocation in fiscal year 26 is entirely for their Graduate Student Research Travel Fund, which provides critical financial support to graduate students who are engaged in research and scholarly presentation. This is the area that took one of the biggest hits this year. Each award is approximately $750, and with this funding, they've so far awarded 142 graduate student travel awards, and they also plan to provide another 66 travel awards by the end of the year. Although these funds serve a very critical role on campus, the committee chose to reduce the amount of student funds that are being used to subsidize travel in order to prioritize things such as student wages. So while this is a big decrease, still this is going to be able to provide a lot of support for a lot of graduate students, and it'll also make it possible for us to prioritize wages and other things coming out of the student fee. The Spencer Museum of Art sustains a nationally recognized global collection of nearly 50,000 artworks representing over 5,000 years of human history. Student Senate funding supports 4 to 8 student employee salaries in positions like visitor experience, administration, and student tours. This year, the committee chose to keep them flat, maintaining the $25,000 for their student wages and then $10,000 in support of their ongoing programs and exhibitions. Next is us. So through the activity fee, we also provide an allocation for our own operations. A common confusion here, the line funding and other things, line funding, Wednesday night funding, as I showed in a slide earlier, that comes out of the activity fee, and this administration, this administration ask on block is what we fund Student Senate salaries, Student Senate wages, and then stipends out of. So yeah, like I said, it supports the wages and stipends for executive and legislative officers, along with travel, events, office/election supplies. It's important to note that per our Constitution, the allocation we provide to ourselves must cover the total potential compensation for all officers. We had some discussion about this during block deliberations, but $108,000 was the closest we felt was compliant to this point. That's already $5,000 less than our treasurer's initial ask here. For the other points, the committee felt it wouldn't be fair if Senate didn't also bear some of this year's decreases. So there's some large decreases in our travel and events funds. Next is student support and case management. This is actually the first of the unique cases that I mentioned at the start. They provide non-clinical support to students while coaching them towards appropriate self-care and self-advocacy resources. They received a fee allocation of $1 for the first time this year, and a resolution was provided alongside that to the block committee from the fee review committee to not disregard their block request. So a $35,000 allocation was granted this year, keeping their total funding quite close to fiscal year 26. So you'll see they got $80,646 from block in fiscal year 26. And then when you combine the $35,000 from block with the fiscal year 27 fee allocation of $1, then their total funding comes to around $81,351, subject to enrollment and things like that, because fee dollars are dependent on enrollment. The big event is Lawrence's single largest day of community service, and many of you are familiar with their work from their Wednesday night fund request this year. Historically, they received $6,000 in line funding in fiscal year 24, and then $4,900 in block funding for both fiscal year 23 and 22. They received no funding from either of those sources in fiscal year 25 and 26, which is why they've relied so heavily on Wednesday night fund this year. In order to lessen the burden on Wednesday night fund, which is quite important when there's going to be a lot less in there next year, and then once provide support, and also to once again provide support for this established organization, the committee chose to allocate them $5,050 for their most important supplies. They will also be eligible to receive additional support from Wednesday night fund if needed. Next is undergraduate mock trial. You heard a presentation from them tonight. The reason that they made that presentation and applied for a travel exemption is because they were not granted a block allocation for this year. Mock trial has been supported by Student Senate since at least fiscal year 17 on line item funding. But this year they chose to apply for block funding primarily because of the $10,000 funding maximum, which does also apply to line. That's not enough to cover all their competition costs. And as you heard, they work really hard to supplement that through a lot of different fundraising efforts. But unfortunately, because of how tight block funding was this year, we thought it'd be best to keep them online, but they are encouraged to apply again next year. Next is the University of Daly Kansan, or the UDK. They provide independent journalism about the KU and Lawrence community. They've been supported since at least 2011 through student fees, probably longer, honestly. But as you're all aware, they were not provided a fee allocation for fiscal year 27. You passed a resolution for them to explore supplemental funding mechanisms, such as block funding, and then this request reflects that effort. This year, the committee chose to allocate the UDK $98,500. That's they were allocated $100,000, and that was amended down $1,500. That's the equivalent of around $2.15 in fee dollars. $20,000 of which would be for software and bandwidth, and then $78,500 for student wages. The committee chose not to fund $35,000 for their administrator salary, as that's already partially offset by advertising and the School of Journalism, or the $2,000 for their office supplies. Let's see. The amount for student wages is less than their request, meaning they'd likely need to cut the equivalent of 2.5 positions, perhaps a little bit more, now that some has been taken off of that from the Finance Council amendment, or they could reorganize their hours between existing positions. even though they received a $30,000 increase in total funding compared to last year, please remember from the fee presentation that they were only able to maintain all of their positions this year by spending down their entire carry forward. So they no longer have a way to supplement that funding. So even though they got a increase this year, that's still less than the historic funding of around $3 fee dollars. Let's see. So although they didn't receive their full ask of $150,000, the committee viewed that a higher allocation for this year would be irresponsible and disregard the needs of other vital organizations on campus. There was already less block funding available than last year, so finding an extra $100,000, as we were instructed to do by the fee review committee, that was no easy task. The committee chose to focus instead on prioritizing student wages and the software and bandwidth that's required to keep the UDK running. And then, as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, the Finance Council reduced the UDK's allocation by $1,500 to provide more funding to alternative breaks. The UDK still received one of the biggest increases this year, albeit with a lot of context surrounding that increase and higher historical funding. So the Finance Council chose to take that funding from their wages, as the software and bandwidth is required to run their website and other operations. Next is the University Dance Company, or UDC. They provide opportunities for KU students to participate in and see high quality performances of ballet, jazz, modern, tons of different dance styles each semester. This year, the committee chose to fully fund their student wages and music permissions, but were unable to provide funds for their guest choreographers and musicians, their videography and streaming services, and then costs associated with providing rehearsal space to other KU clubs. University Theater provides several plays and musicals per year, providing around 30 to 50 nights of live performance. All currently active KU undergraduate and graduate students are eligible to participate. They already received a very large decrease in fiscal year 26, going from 57,000 to 36,000. So this year, the committee chose to keep them flat and preserve their funding for student wages. Now, last but not least, we have the Wingspan Center for Learning and Writing Support. Wingspan is a department within the University Academic Support Centers and the largest provider of academic support services on campus. This year, they requested $25,640 to fund their weekend academic support program, their thesis and dissertation accelerator, and then their supplemental instruction program support. Last year was their second year receiving block funding, and we were only able to fund $7,000 for their weekend academic support. So the block committee chose to increase that amount to $8,000 to help fund wages for around 6 writing consultants. That brings us to the end of my presentation regarding these allocations. Please keep in mind that Finance Council was the only group that has the ability to amend this package, but I would still love to answer any and all questions you have. Please ask me a million questions or any concerns we might have before entering debate here.
Thank you very much. And yes, Claptrap. While we're doing raise hands for questions, if you could just shoot that presentation into the Assembly channel, I think that'd be beneficial. If you have a question currently, please raise your hand. All right, then we'll start with Victoria Hunter. I can just repeat your question.
There's a difference between the block fund for year 2026 on slide 3 and 4. Is that because of the deficit recovery potentially? One says 707,000 and the other says 745.
Question's been asked about deficit recovery on slide.
Yeah, from my understanding, I think that is so. From my understanding, that comes for 2 reasons. One, the fiscal year 26 here is calculated using. Oh, okay. The fiscal year 26 is calculated using this year's fee multiplier, which changes the number around a little bit. But also, from my understanding, I believe we still allocated a bit more than our revenue here last year. But no. We allocate. Sorry, it's based on the fee multiplier, from my understanding.
Great. Any further questions? Guess it's me with the butterfingers. Yes, Ivana.
So in the event that this package does not pass today, what would be the next course of action?
Questions asked about if the package is remanded.
So if the package is remanded, then there's kind of 2 routes that would happen here. Per the Constitution, packages are remanded with recommendations from whoever remands it, just like fee. We would try to meet again, but frankly, we would really struggle to do that in time and find a quorum with it, especially with elections week next week and line item funding deliberations this Friday. Whole lot of conflicts going on there. So if we aren't able to meet, it's going to go to the emergency approval process, where the committee is just able to pass it themselves. So I'd like to, if possible, have as much input from you all. And I think Finance Council was very productive in that regard.
Can you read about the emergency approval process in the Constitution? It's not passed after Cycle 12. That becomes a thing. Block can just pass it. I'm not seeing any other questions, so thank you very much, Nathan.
And I'll put that in the assembly chat so you can all see it.
Perfect. Okay, hands up for speeches.
I'm gonna pull up the bill.
Yes, pull up the bill. Okay, hands up for motions. Yes, Jeff Brooker, call. We have a call to previous question from Jeff Brooker. We have a second from Aiden Faust. That poll is now posted. You have 100 seconds to vote on this one.
Might not even have to. Camden Baxter type vote.
Yeah, might not need to. Okay, we just elapsed 100 seconds, so that poll is now closed. Thank you for getting your votes in a timely manner. With a result of 39 approve and 2 opposed, this package included passes. Okay, please turn your attention to Kate. Ready when you are.
Okay, my name's Kate, and this is a resolution urging KU to stop doing business with Starbucks. So first is the precedent. This body has affirmed a number of times too in recent memory our commitment to values like collective bargaining in resolution 303 from last year, which is the Green New Deal. And this year we passed a resolution in support of UAKU, which affirmed our support for the negotiation of a fair union contract for UAKU. So keep that in mind throughout the rest of the presentation. This is something that we've already affirmed that we support. Next, the justification. So there's a number of reasons why Starbucks is bad. For instance, first, Starbucks has become the most prolific labor law violator in modern U.S. history. They intimidate, they retaliate. Oh my gosh, they refuse to bargain in good faith. You can see here a judge, according to Bloomberg Law, described what they're doing as a scorched earth campaign and pattern of misconduct. Furthermore, something really interesting is that technically there aren't Starbucks on campus. There's We Proudly Serve Starbucks, which is something totally different. It just means that Nestle purchases products via Starbucks and uses their licensing and branding, but it's not actually Starbucks. And that's bad for a number of additional reasons because Nestle has been linked to child labor, forced labor, unsafe working conditions in producing regions. So when we allow Starbucks to operate on campus, we are also involving ourselves in this supply chain that extracts wealth from the global south. So it's bad all around. Next, on the feasibility of this actually happening, first off, the agreement between Starbucks and the University of Kansas is going to expire next summer. That's why it's so pertinent that we pass this right now, so we can get these conversations going before the contract expires. And then secondly, Starbucks' consumer base is overwhelmingly young college-age students. They spend an average of $63 or more per month on coffee. So we have significant economic leverage, and this is proven empirically because at the University of Cornell, UCLA, the University of North Texas, they've already done this. And in between the submitting of this resolution and right now, Ponoma College has also dropped Starbucks. And they didn't even non-renew their contract. They straight up dropped Starbucks because it was they were union busting. So it's pretty bad. Then finally, the solution is twofold in this resolution. First off, we affirm that the University of Kansas should stop doing business with Starbucks and replace the company upon the expiration of the contract. And secondly, we affirm that the University of Kansas should develop and adopt ethical procurement guidelines. And this just means that the vendor who is to replace Starbucks should value collective bargaining. They should comply with labor laws. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Okay, so some FAQs. Finance Council asked me how this is going to affect current student employees. And the answer is pretty simple. It's not going to at all because employees of Starbucks are not employees of Starbucks TM. They're employees of KU Memorial Unions. And so all that would change is the color of the apron that they're wearing in the coffee shop that they work at. Literally nothing else. How do I know that, you may be asking? Well, I found this little picture on the website. And if you zoom into his name tag here, you can see that it says Dining Services, Union Coffee House. It doesn't say Starbucks anywhere. He's an employee of Dining Services. Okay, next. Prior to Starbucks, a Kansas City-based coffee shop called The Roastery operated on campus. Why were they replaced, and will that be a problem for future businesses? It might potentially, but according to a UDK article, our contract with Pepsi stipulates that the right to distribute bottled and canned beverages lies exclusively with Pepsi, and the Roastery allegedly shifted to bottled drinks, so the contract had to be terminated. I can't promise that this isn't going to be an issue, but that's in connection to the next one. We don't really know what's going to replace Starbucks, and it's not really within our jurisdiction to tell the union hey, you should start negotiating with this company in order to replace Starbucks. I think that right now this resolution does not present an alternative because denouncing our affiliation with Starbucks and urging the university to consider the values we've already affirmed in their future contract negotiations is the ultimate goal, and we don't have to find an alternative. I yield my time.
Great. We have time for one, maybe two questions. Seeing no questions, thank you very much. Okay, we're looking for speeches from the floor. Okay, we're looking for motions then. Jeff Brooker. We have a call the previous question from Jeff Brooker. We have a second from Esperanza. Okay. If there's no negative speeches, that poll will be posted. He's doing the motion. Okay, 90 seconds. Because he was going. Hey, next time you can. Is that posted?
Yeah.
Okay, that poll is open. All right, please. Hey, shut up, Kate. Please keep order during debate or during voting. Come on, guys, bear with me. We're still at order here. And in 5 more seconds. Okay, that poll is now closed with a result of 34 in the affirmation and 3 in the negation. This resolution clearly passes. With that, we move into 2026-074, a bill to amend 2-312 of the Student Senate Constitution as amended.
Okay, so this amendment is pretty simple. It would change when things go on the consent agenda. Currently, only if funding bills are $500 or less, it goes on the consent agenda. This would change it so if a bill or like a piece of legislation is unanimously passed through 2 different councils, it would go on the consent legislation as well. And you might ask, what's the benefit of this? I think we all don't like having to stay here till 10 o'clock. And this is a really good way to save time, not just for us, but councils and or people in the future. And these pieces of legislation have already shown that they have enough support from the student body to get passed. And so it's clear that they should be on the consent agenda. And if someone does have a problem with the legislation because they are in the 3rd council or something new comes up, they can always move the piece of legislation off the consent agenda, which resolves any issues that this might create. I'm open to questions.
Caught me off guard there. Okay, hands for questions. Yes, Ivana.
Can we put the bill up, please?
Yeah,
Sorry, I made it so 2 desktops.
I know. Don't like it. Thank you. Scroll down, please. Any further questions for our speaker? Yes, Ivana.
Okay, this is the first time I'm seeing this bill.
Mhm.
So basically to clarify, it's saying that if a bill passes 2 councils, if it's not a funding bill, it'll automatically just go to the consent agenda
No, if it passes 2 councils unanimously.
unanimously. Okay.
Yeah, because that already shows that it has clear and broad support from the student body.
If there's no other questions of follow up to Ivana Dominic or Emma Harsey question. Okay, Ivana Dominic follow up. Sorry about that.
Anyone else have a question? Can you provide an example of when this has happened?
Questions asked about when this has happened before. so
A
we can
piece of
answer.
legislation,
Yes, has passed both councils unanimously. Just for context.
I believe your piece of legislation last cycle, thanking the grounds crew, at least it passed community affairs unanimously. I think it passed rights unanimously as well.
Okay. Kenna.
So if 2 councils had approved it unanimously, but the 3rd council had never seen it, would it be crazy to assume that they shouldn't also be able to see it in General Assembly and
Kind of 2 responses to this. Like as I mentioned in my speech, you can still like in General Assembly, you can remove it from the consent agenda, which I think will be a very rare instance. But also B, it's already shown that has enough support from the student body or from student senate that it would be able to pass regardless.
Keep in mind, consent agenda can be objected to by one person and then gets broken down. Yeah, Emma?
Procedure. So this is an amendment to the Constitution, but for some reason in our Student Rights and Affairs Council, this was mistakenly put on our consent agenda. So our actual council did not review this piece of legislation. So I guess I'm just a little bit concerned with the ramifications of that, and if that is in line with Robert's rules or our Constitution, if our
Yeah. Okay. So basically, what happened is in Rights and Affairs, I was not present during this, by the way. There's a motion to combine some uncontroversial pieces of legislation, and then this was done through the consent agenda. This is not in order. This is not on something that like we have a mechanism for currently. It was just worded improperly. You're free to move to like combine legislation to vote on it, like the opposite of serrating or dividing questions. It's usually more for like when we serrate something, we're going like, for example, on a fee package or a block package, like paragraph by paragraph, so like entity by entity, and wanting to combine like a bunch of ones that we keep flat, for example, and vote on that simultaneously. And so while this was not done properly, the impact was not enough for Studex to say that like this legislation was improperly approved. And I do believe the voting record on that legislation was unanimous. It was a lot of legislation that you guys had in rights. Yes, Kenna. This is true.
So how could students have decided that it wasn't a problem if they were not informed?
I have a point of inquiry.
Yeah. Chair recognizes Nathan for point of inquiry.
Were the minutes released before Studex?
Yes. The minutes were present for Studex. This was not informed to Studex because truly this was not a big deal. And there's nothing that assembly or like can do to rectify this. Like the legislation passed, it was just like a weird motion beforehand to make it pass. Like the votes were fully like fine. Like that part was fine. Do you have any questions on the legislation as it stands before you today? Yes, Ivana.
Could we get the margins in which this legislation passed in the one council it was presented to?
This legislation was presented to, so guys, this legislation went to rights and finance. In rights, it was passed unanimously. In finance, it was passed. There were 4 votes in opposition in finance.
Oh wait, no. Yeah,
Wait.
yeah. Sorry, you're right.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It went to community affairs.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Order, please. Order. This went to rights and community affairs, and there were 4 opposition in community affairs. We'll get the number on how many opposed in community affairs in a second. The minutes are all the council minutes are on the website and everything. Do we have questions for our speaker? We have time for like one more question for our speaker. Yes, Jeff.
Considering that this bill is written around unanimous consent and general agreement of the population, why wasn't this also brought to Finance Council?
I don't assign councils.
Guys, the legislation, newsflash, legislation only goes to 2 of the 3 councils each cycle. And finance had a disproportionately large amount of legislation to look at last cycle because they had all the travel exemptions and they had block. So even if you think this amendment might have been topical to finance, we had to move things into rights and community affairs for the sake of time. We're out of questions. If there's no objection, I'll extend time for 1 minute for a question for the speaker. Emma. Okay, so we're going to be out of time then for questions for the speaker. You can sit down. What is your point of parliamentary inquiry?
So I guess my question is, the Rights Exec Council was, and keep in mind our chair was out this week, and so we were kind of like figuring it out as we go a little bit. But we were under the impression that all the bills on our consent agenda were
under $500 funding bills. And
We had no funding bills last cycle. All of the bills that were on the
probably
the
should
rights
check that.
consent agenda last cycle were amendments. Yes, I'm gonna recognize the person who was chairing over rights to briefly comment on that. Yes, Eli.
So basically what happened is we had like 11 bills in council, we were worried we weren't able to see them all. And so one of our members suggested that we vote them all as a block, but asked everybody, hey, would you be okay moving this into this thing so we can
Get all of our legislation through and done with.
Yeah. So repeating that, in rights, they agreed to move legislation into like voting on it all at once. The terminology of consent agenda is improper, but that like concept is fine.
Yeah, we all knew that they weren't funding bills beforehand. We talked about it at length before the motion was ever made. We just were misunderstanding that that wasn't something that was allowed to be done.
That's okay. Thank you for your context for that. Okay. If we have no further points of parliamentary inquiry, we've got this bill. Do we have speeches on this bill? Okay. Do we have motions on this motion? Yeah. Yes. Is your speech in affirmation or negation? No, that was the presentation speech. Okay, great. Get on up there. Well, does anyone else want to give a negative speech?
I think
All right,
Berger should
get-
give a speech.
All right, get up there, Ivana. Let's hear it. I turn your attention to our engineering student council center, please. You'll have 5 minutes.
Probably just need 2.
Great. I'd love to hear it.
I might take 5 though, just for you, Robert. Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. I am speaking in negation of this bill simply because I don't believe that passing it unanimously in 2 councils would simply just be a way to consider it in the consent legislation. For as long as I've been in Senate, a lot of the times people just motion to approve the consent agenda in General Assembly. And oftentimes we don't take time to go through all of the legislation thoroughly and in depth. If we just are making these decisions, oftentimes we're not really accounting for all of the student voices. And for example, Finance Council, at least from my experience, has a much bigger number of people in it than the other councils and vice versa. I think it would be an unfair representation if 2 of the councils that might be smaller, or maybe Finance Council and Rights and Affairs, only heard this legislation and it was automatically approved to the consent agenda. I personally have qualms with the $500 rule where anything under $500 can be put in the consent agenda. But I think regarding this legislation, I think we should still hear every bit of information presented to us in the body so we can all talk about it and make informed decisions. I think especially with legislation that goes in the consent agenda, often for the sake of time, people are like, okay, let's just get through it. But at the end of the day, I feel like it really shouldn't be about time. We're all giving up our Wednesday nights to be here. We're staying here, most of us, till 10 p.m. If you need to leave early, that's on you. But for the people that stay here till 10 p.m., it shows that they care. And I think the people that have been in Senate long enough, it really doesn't matter how long we're taking, because every discussion, every legislation, every bit of thing that we're talking about is directly important to the student body. I personally don't care if we talk about every single legislation or funding bill, as long as every single person has an input and has a way to express their opinions. And I think for the other council where this information isn't presented to, I don't think it's necessarily fair for them to just get lumped into the consent agenda, where often those details and information that could be missed in terms of questioning just automatically get swept under the rug. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you for that speech. Answering the presenter's question earlier, this was passed unanimously by Rights and Community Affairs. Yes, all hands for questions real quick. Okay, we're gonna start with Jeff Brooker and work our way clockwise.
I don't have a question. Fantastic speech.
Okay, that is not in order. That is not in order. All right, Ugo, question.
Well, I must ask the speaker, so are you just opposed to the consent agenda as a premise in total? I mean, what stops people from just dividing the consent agenda if there is a controversial bill?
Questions been asked about the current consent agenda. Speaker may answer.
I appreciate the question. While I don't believe it's directly related to the legislation on hand, I will say kind of creating a mechanism like this to allow legislation to kind of just get lumped into, oh, let's just pass it all at once is a bit of a tricky situation and not a hill that I really want to go on. I am a senior, I am graduating. This might not affect me right now, but I think as a precedent, I don't feel like this is something that we should do just to show that Student Senate actually cares about every bill and legislation that's presented to the body, just so we're able to make sound decisions and give everyone the chance to talk about it, even if the bill wasn't presented in your council.
Aiden.
That was a good answer. I got clapped.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Vice President. I appreciate it.
If people are passionate about a piece of legislation, can they not look beforehand and then ask to divide the question?
Questions been asked about reading the legislation. Speaker may answer.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for a lot of the people in the room, we are all very busy and we have a lot of other things on our plate, especially with school being first. We are student senators at the end of the day. And so oftentimes when we focus on student senate, it's immediately right before the meeting. But also bringing the legislation up to everyone allows people to think about perspectives that they haven't before, but also listening to the questions also reminds you to think of other points and perspectives. If I read a piece of legislation right before a Senate meeting and I walked in and I'm like, you know what, I'm ready to go, within about maybe 3 minutes of discussions, my perspectives could change. I think that's really important for the student body to realize that we don't always come in set on our ways. We also need to be open to flexibility and also just listening to what other people say.
She recognizes CC.
Thank you for your speech. I'd like to ask the speaker if they could elaborate on a discrepancy that they mentioned over here, specifically about how of the 3 councils there are 2 with fewer members than one of them.
Questions asked about attendance.
Yeah. I don't
You
think
can
it's about
answer.
Attendance, it was more of just numbers in general. From my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I understood that Finance Council has the largest attendance out of all 3 of the councils. Is that correct, Sir Speaker?
They're almost perfectly distributed 30 senators apiece.
Almost perfectly distributed 30 senators apiece. Okay. Well, either way, maybe my perception of attendance might have been different at a few meetings that I've been to, but I will say either way, at the end of the day, I think that's still a third of the group that hasn't had a chance to see this legislation. And a lot of the bills that could be passed in agenda could also be constitutional amendments or just bills in general that do impact the student body. And I think the 2 extra minutes it takes to go through a bill isn't really worth it in the grand scheme of things. And I think that's time that we can easily accommodate for. And I think us having a discussion here about this right now is taking up time and getting closer to that 10 p.m. limit that the speaker was really concerned about.
Thank you. Okay, I have several people with questions who are new on my note. So if there's no objection, we're going to extend questioning time by 3 minutes.
I object.
Okay, 2?
Can I have a minute and a half? I thought
Yeah.
you gave me 5 minutes. Now I'm extending time.
Yeah, I know. Oh, okay. If there's one, currently I've got. Oh, okay, gotcha. My bad. Okay, so if there's no objections, we'll extend time by 1.5 minutes. Nathan.
Bear with me because this is a little bit of a hypothetical. But per the Constitution, polls have to be open for at least 90 seconds, and everything not in the consent agenda has to be voted on via a poll. Do you think that's efficient for legislative business, or do you think the consent agenda serves a role there? Does that make sense?
I don't really understand how this pertains to this piece of legislation, given that that's more of a procedural thing with how we vote.
Do you want me to clarify a bit?
Yeah, could you
Okay.
please?
So if less things are able to be put on the consent agenda and more things have to be voted on individually, as you suggested, do you think that's efficient for legislative business, given the fact that all those are required votes?
I will say regardless of how we pass bills, whether it's in the consent agenda or through regular voting and discussion, we do still have a hard cap at 10 p.m. So no one's staying here at 11:30. Whatever we fit into this time is a matter of how the speaker organizes our schedule. Whatever we don't just gets rolled over to the next cycle. So it really is a matter of strategy and also organization. So
Okay, we do not have time for any follow-up questions currently.
thank you.
Thank you to
No,
our
thank you.
speaker. There's a request for information from Emma Hardesty. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask, you mentioned that assignments for senators for each council is evenly distributed. I just wanted to ask if you could speak to the actual, reality of like the attendance, Because I believe last week in Rights and Affairs, we had maybe 10 people.
Okay, so first Alderson, because it's a bigger room, it feels like we have more people in here. There's on the cycle we had 12 voting members here, which is insanely low. I'm gonna turn to our Internal Affairs Director to get some more clarification on how many people are attending this. But what I can tell you is we tend to have some people who are only coming to assembly, and it's the same 12 people in each council who come to councils, making up about 40 people, 45 people that come to assembly. Half of our senators are not regular attendees.
The only other thing that I would note is Rights, for instance, doesn't have any people accessing community voter, what's it called? Community senatorship, like public membership. Thank you. And Finance Council has like 6 sometimes. So, but the actual senators are distributed evenly.
Thank you. Okay, do we have first speeches from the floor? Okay, speeches, motions. Oh, Alex, is this a negative speech? Okay. Is there? Yes, Ivana. Yeah, there's been a request for information from Ivana Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. How many people voted on the bill in the last, or the councils in which this piece of legislation was passed in? How many were present and were counted in that unanimous?
Yeah, Internal Affairs Director.
8 people in Rights and 15 people in Community Affairs.
Thank you for that question. Okay. Yeah. Do we have speeches? Or yes, we have next speech. Do we have a positive speech from the floor? Okay, so since we don't, okay, Ugo, yes. Positive speech. Okay, go. Five minutes on your first word.
Hello. Oh, it's my pleasure to be up here as usual. Sorry for my voice being gone. It's been highlighted by the speaker that we do have even distribution in each council, which is roughly, I'd say, maybe 12 members per council that are active attendees. Now, you could say, well, the full body didn't get to hear on it. This bill doesn't, have a clause that says the body can't divide out a specific piece of legislation. And I think it's rather crass that the previous speaker said that senators aren't, willing to read through, the text and the legislation we have to present thoroughly. I personally read through all of them. And also we must consider how much time we spend here. Most times we say, well, we get out at 10 p.m. We've gone out way later than 10 p.m. Trust me, my bed schedule tells me about it. I can't wake up on Thursdays at my regular time at 6 a.m. because every Thursday I sleep through until 9 a.m. So I'm always late. I mean, we have to be honest. What's the negative of having this as an implementation? There seems to be no negative. Everyone, you can simply divide out the piece of legislation that you find controversial. This seems like a no-brainer. It seems like the easiest time saver there is. Questions, please.
Okay, thank you to our speaker. Hands for questions. Answer your question earlier. There are, not counting public membership, 29 for Rights, 32 for Finance, 29 for Community Affairs. Yes, Aiden.
Is the speaker aware that language like this exists in previous versions of the Student Senate Constitution?
The speaker was told by his good friend Aiden about that too. Yes, the speaker is aware.
Further questions for our speaker? Seeing yes, Cece.
I'm about to get grabbed now, aren't I?
Thank you for your speech. Is the speaker also aware that only 22 people voted on the subject matter last week?
The speaker has his own qualms on attendance in committees, of course, but the simple truth is those same 22 people are probably the same 22 people that are majority in presence today. We have an attendance issue. That's very separate from the issue of the matter being there's 20 people. There's people that vote in the committees regularly, are the same people that go to almost every general assembly. So it will get passed anyway. This is like wasting 5 additional. It's about efficiency, man. Come on.
All right, Alexis.
So in the Student Rights and Affairs Council, I think oftentimes we pass bills based on the understanding that there may be an amendment proposed in assembly. So how do you think that this bill accommodates that?
Questions asked about amendments. Speaker may answer.
Once again, if a bill goes through 2 committees, the committees are deliberative. It's assumed that the people in the committees will, amend out any controversial parts of, bill or resolution. And quite frankly, amendment in assembly, I think if it passes through 2 councils, once again, and I'm under the assumption that everyone reads through bills and legislation before coming here. Unless you don't, which maybe you might not be doing your job well. Yeah, you do. hey, I'm sorry.
Order. There'll be order in this chamber.
But in all seriousness, I think that's a non-issue.
Recognizes Kendra McNally.
Not a question, but I did just want to point out that we should treat each other with respect, and impugning the motives of others and their speeches is not allowed under Robert's Rules of Order.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Emma Hardesty.
I just had a question. You mentioned that you didn't think it would be a problem if this would go on the consent agenda, given our very obvious attendance problem. But wouldn't you think that since we do have dwindling numbers, it would be more important to have more eyes on certain bills, especially given the fact that a small proportion of the student body is making decisions for the student body as a whole in the first place with the Student Senate?
Questions asked about attendance. Speaker may answer.
Well, I think, I have my own qualms regarding attendance. But the thing is, your assumption of, having the bigger, broader student body, input on that is we don't have public membership here in the assembly. That there isn't public membership here. And if a majority, which I'm assuming if all the committees are evenly distributed, that's 66%, if I'm correct. If 66% of the members that come here regularly agree on something, it's going to pass anyways. Is it not pedantic to spend extra time arguing over it instead of going straight and making sure we finish our meetings on time?
Chair recognizes Ivana Dominic.
Could the Internal Affairs Director or the Speaker clarify how many voting members are in attendance today? Do we have that based on attendance?
This is a request for information for how many members were in attendance on roll call, correct?
Yes, or I could just ask for quorum.
No. This is a question on roll call.
No.
On the last poll, there were 37 people who voted.
Okay, that is not necessarily mean that is how many people you have present. Chair recognizes Jack Ritter for a question.
My question's kind of just general. Should it be important that this bill does not address the fact that one body could pass it unanimously and one body could amend it and pass it unanimously? Like, wouldn't that be an issue at the next level? Whether it pops into the consent agenda amended or not? I don't know. That was confusing.
Questions asked about amendments. Speaker may answer.
I defer my speaking rights on this question to my good friend Aiden, please.
Chair recognizes
Again,
Aiden.
you can always divide the question, but also that's why we have StudEx to resolve things like amended bills where only one council amends it. I think it's important that we look at the legislation before it comes to council or it comes to General Assembly, and we have things built in place to deal with these issues.
Okay, we are out of time. There's several more people with questions, so if there's no objections, I'm going to extend questioning by 2 minutes.
My gosh, I'm getting grilled. out
If
here,
there's
aren't
no
I?
objection, I'm going to extend questioning by 3 minutes. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey.
We're not gonna extend questioning time then. Thank you very much, Ugo. You can sit down. That is a positive. So now we're going to Alex for a negative speech, and a call to previous question is currently out of order until we hear from a negative speech. 5 minutes on your first word.
So when I showed up to assembly today, I thought I was going to be in support of this bill. I'll be completely honest. But hearing the points of the first speaker, the first speech in negation, kind of opened my eyes to the potential problems with this legislation. The fact that we are able to pass constitutional amendments through consent is atrocious. Amending our bylaws and amending the rules and regulations of this body through consent without discussing this in front of the body would be abhorrent and disgusting. And then, not to mention, my apologies. I feel like it would not be within the spirit of how we operate. That being said, there's also the question that was brought up by the chair of community affairs, where if a piece of legislation gets unanimously passed in one body and unanimously passed but amended in another body, what happens to it? Does it still go on consent, amended? Then only a third of the body has actually seen the amended piece of legislation, and the entire argument falls apart. This is a poorly thought out amendment to a piece of the Constitution that is working well. $500 legislation can and will be brought out of consent if there is objection to it. That has happened once this year to my piece of legislation, so I know that it happens. The system is working well. I don't believe that it needs a change, and I believe that this change is not the way to do it if we wanted to change it.
Thank you very much. Hands for questions. Keep them up. Keep them
My
up.
apologies for the language.
Okay. We're gonna start with Mia.
Thank you for your passionate speech. I was just curious if the speaker agrees that just based on the fact that this bill was passed unanimously in two councils and now has been the subject of so much debate, would you agree that that shows us exactly why passing this bill would be problematic?
It does show it, although there's an argument to be made that it was only passed with like the thought in mind of one council. I know Rights had its issues with it with the grouping, and I won't continue to go over that. But
Recognizes Ugo.
Oh crap! Riveting speech, dude. So yeah, my question is: would you be open to amending this, piece of legislation to exclude, constitutional amendments, and also to fix the logic parabola that the chair of community affairs proposed?
I would be open to amendment on this bill.
And motion to postpone. Would you be open to that, sir?
I believe that this bill needs more discussion, whether that's an amendment or a motion to postpone for one cycle. It's, this obviously isn't a finished matter. We need to continue discussing it, whether that's continuing on with speeches or, in some other way over the next 2 weeks if we delay.
Recognizes Aiden Faust. Hold on. This is still the speaker's time. So hold off on making motions during speaking time, please. Chair recognizes Yvonne Dominic. Okay, chair recognizes.
Oh, I have a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Sure,
I
shoot.
was calling for a motion to vote in the back prior. I didn't know if the
Yeah,
speaker had
so
done that.
because we went negative, positive, and there was actually two more negative speeches on the floor. We have to end on a negative speech. And so it would have been out of order to move to vote. So we are queuing this negative speech now. After this, further kinds of motions, postpone, vote are in order. I will say we still have speeches on the floor, but yes. Any further questions for our speaker, though? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Chair recognizes Aiden. Okay. There's a. I should never recognize it. This is a debatable motion. There's a motion to postpone to cycle 12 from the bill's author. Is there a second on this? Okay, there's a second from Ugo. This will now begin debate on postponing the bill to next cycle. Not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna postpone it definitely. Yes, question?
Would you like to
No. This is debate. So Aiden, come up and say why we should postpone it, and then Jeff can come and say why we don't want to postpone it, etc., etc. You're gonna get 3 minutes since it's subsidiary.
There's been like 3 qualms with this piece of legislation. 2 of them are not on the fundamental basis of the idea of the legislation and can be resolved through amendments next cycle. These 2 changes that we can make are changing it so it clarifies what happens if one council amends and the other council passes without that amendment. And the other change will be having language that specifically addresses constitutional amendments. This resolves the majority of the qualms I've heard tonight and means that we can present the best piece of legislation possible. Also, there are several other pieces of important legislation tonight, and we should have time to hear those. That's kind of the basis of the motion to postpone.
Great. Thanks. Okay, seeing no questions for our speaker, thank you very much. Would someone like to give a negative speech on this motion? Okay, would someone like to move? Okay, would someone like to give a negative speech before someone else is going to call to previous question on postponing? Yes, okay. 3 minutes. Mr. Jester.
Is this on camera?
Yeah, it's live.
Thank
It's
God.
live actually.
Love that.
How many viewers we got?
Am I ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't like the premise of this bill at all. I think it's kind of designed to just kind of sidestep the fact that a lot of people don't show up. I think a better approach to this would be, it seems a little bit drastic, but maybe start reducing some of the seats in Senate since they aren't really filled to begin with. We have like these running elections to get things filled as they go along. I think it would be a lot more pertinent to start like just cutting seats instead. So it's a little more drastic, but essentially the same idea, and it doesn't kind of supersede the people that we have occupying the seats already.
Ugo, question? Thank you. Thank you for that speech. Thanks, Chris.
So what do you think of the 35 seats in your
The speaker does not have to answer this question. This is not germane.
I may not have to answer it, but I will speak on it. I don't know that cutting Senate exactly in half is a really good idea. I think a small reduction would be the better way to go and kind of see how things start there and just move on from that.
CC.
Thank you. I would like to ask the speaker, considering their speech was more about cutting seats than it actually was about the contents of the previous senator's speech, what exactly are the perhaps negative reasons he provided as to why this bill should not be amended in the next cycle?
Question asked about harms for postponing. Speaker may answer.
I spoke on why I was against the bill. I think that was enough.
Further questions? Emma.
Okay, well, I do apologize about that.
I'll repeat your question.
Could the speaker also clarify why perhaps not just their
Could the speaker also clarify not just their personal opposition to the bill itself, but why specifically the bill should not be postponed, and specifically why we should be deciding on this bill tonight?
Questions asked about harms again, speaker may answer.
Again, I think that the premise of the bill itself is the issue. The idea that, I mean, it goes back to the fact that there's very limited attendance in these councils that it was approved in to begin with, despite the fact that people are assigned to it in what's supposed to be an equal portioning of student senate. People aren't showing up to these things, so there's not an adequate representation of whether this is actually unanimous or not. I like the idea of the efficiency. I don't think that this is the way to go about it. I don't know how else to really explain it.
Briefly, Rome.
Yeah, my quick question is, how is reducing the total number of senators
Point
going
of
to
order.
help attendance? And
Not
count?
germane to the
Chair
question.
recognizes the internal affairs director's point of order.
Not germane to the question of postponing the legislation.
Your point of order is well taken. Sorry guys, I should have hammered down on this earlier. We got kind of off track with what we're actually talking about right now. The question at hand. Is there? If there's no objections, we'll extend time for 1 minute.
I object.
Sorry, team. Okay, thank you very much, Jeff Brooker. Sit down. There's a motion to extend time by 30 seconds. Is there a second for this motion? There's a second from Rome Hunt. All in favor of extending time by 30 seconds, please say yes. All opposed, please say no. The 30 seconds extending time. Ivana, yes, quickly, brief.
The speaker has made it clear that they are against the merits of this legislation. Would there be any amendments that the speaker thinks would actually make a difference in terms
Point
of
of order.
bringing this bill? Excuse me, I'm not done.
What's your point of order? Internal. It's an interruptible motion, but
Not germane to the question of postponing. This is about amendments to the bill itself.
hold on. Order. I'm going to say this is not well taken. Finish your question, please.
As I was saying earlier before I was interrupted, would the speaker think there would be any possible amendments that could change the speaker's beliefs as to whether this bill would actually be effective or should be passed?
Question about some amendments. Speaker may answer briefly.
I think you'd have to amend to get every bill seen in all three councils, and I don't think that that's necessarily feasible.
Thank you.
All right. Chair, guys, is Alex Ritter. Or there's a call to previous question. There's a second for Victoria Hunter. That poll is. Oh wait, no, this is it. All in favor of postponing the bill to next cycle, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please say no. Poll it is. Poll is posted. You have 90 seconds. 90 seconds. Go. Please do not talk about for continued debate while we're voting on this piece of legislation. Or not this piece of legislation. Excuse me. While we're voting to postpone this legislation to next cycle. Yes, Jeff Berger. Yeah.
Could you please explain what a vote in approval and
Of course. A vote yes means that we will see this bill next cycle and stop talking about it today. A vote no means we will keep talking about it today, likely with recognizing a motion to vote on the legislation today. If you want this legislation to be workshop, you should vote to postpone. If you want to kill this legislation, you should vote to not postpone it. Yeah. This is, yes, Ivana.
So when you say this bill will be workshopped or brought to council, does that mean it will go through the process again of being presented to councils with amendments, or it'll just come back to the next general assembly?
Question's been asked about if this will go to councils or assembly. This will be postponed to the next assembly. So you won't see it in councils, and then you'll see it at our very last assembly meeting, 12, which is, heads up, listen up. This is not going to be in Alderson. It is going to be upstairs 2 floors in Malott, which is the women's room. So keep note of that. It's on the calendar, but keep note of that. It will not be in Alderson. It will be in Malott, upstairs on the 6th floor on the left. On the 5th. The last cycle of assembly. Okay. Yes, Ivana.
Point of parliamentary inquiry?
Yeah.
We will see this exact same bill again in the next cycle with no amendments, no changes?
Correct. So the bill as is will be seen next cycle, but it does give the authors the opportunity to present with amendments. We've done this before, or like to workshop their amendments and move to amend them even in their presentation speech, like give you the idea of that. Our time, yes, Jeff. Yeah, that's great. So that poll is now closed. And with a result of 14 approved, 21 opposed, this motion clearly fails. Okay, Jeff Booker, motion. Call the previous question. We are voting on the bill. Second from Josie Hoshaw. Poll is. You're good. You're good. Poll will be posted shortly.
So you're gonna wait after the next one.
We stand at ease before poll is posted. Yes, Jeff.
Oh yeah, we printed new ones.
We printed new ones.
Yeah.
Hey, next cycle. Or where are they?
Your desk.
If you want to go get them, they're in my desk. Top right drawer. And hand them out. Or just just hand them out actually.
Sorry.
You're good.
I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought we were going to continue debate because there were speeches on the floor.
Well,
it's supposed to be that way.
poll is live. Get out and vote. Do not continue debate on this bill, please. Yes, Jack Ritter. Of course. Okay, if you vote yes, you vote to pass this legislation to make it so that bills passed unanimously by the 2 student councils they were assigned to will be added to the consent agenda of assembly. If you vote no, you don't want that to happen and you want the status quo to remain, where consent is only for legislation that has been amended or filed for under $500. This is a vote on the legislation itself.
Are you sure you don't want to join us the road trip to CP?
You're good.
This is a
To vote.
lifetime opportunity.
Just give it a shot. Order, please, while voting. Order, please, while voting.
I love Mayor Pete if you haven't noticed.
That's true. That's impressive.
That's impressive. That's impressive. We have 15 more seconds of voting, please.
Are you sure you don't want to come see Mayor Pete for this one? Inclusion.
That poll is now closing. That poll is closed. With 12 approved, 25 opposed, this bill clearly fails. This is the first piece of legislation to fail assembly this year. Fun fact. Clap it up for that, guys. All right. What are we on now? Okay, now please, we are on 2026-075, a bill to establish a Speaker of the Students' Assembly as parliamentarian. No, just there.
You should give the speech and affirmation instead of standing up here with me. That's gonna be more important.
Make sure to say that right.
Sorry.
Did you? I think I already had it. I know. No, Doing all right. Dude, what's it called?
I teased it to you.
I know, but it didn't show if I clicked on it. Okay, fine. You're good. You're good. All right. Well, you have to slide.
Oh.
I didn't know you were a Harvard.
No, it's in here. I don't understand.
Oh, of course.
It's in here.
I didn't know you were a fan of the algorithm.
Sorry.
How do I scroll?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Order. Or please turn your direction to the Internal Affairs Director for their presentation speech.
Hey guys, I'm Kate, and this is a bill to establish the speaker as a parliamentarian. The title is a little bit misleading because it does three things. It obviously does the parliamentarian bit, and then also clarifies the definition of non-voting and codifies the Internal Affairs Director as secretary for the fee review committee. Okay, so first off, the speaker becomes the parliamentarian only across these four bodies. This is a good idea for like a number of reasons. First off, the speaker should be an entirely neutral personnel. Like, they should not be voting on things. They should literally only be doing their job, which is to make sure that business gets done. Nothing more, nothing less. I think that the speaker right now has done a really excellent job of this. Like, he hasn't sponsored any legislation or things of that nature. So this isn't like a dig on him. I just think that this would be a really excellent idea. Also, something of note is that it doesn't, like, nothing actually really changes between now and if this bill is passed. The only difference is essentially that we disenfranchise the speaker. They're literally not allowed to vote because that's how Robert's Rules defines a parliamentarian. Right now, the speaker already operates as a parliamentarian in terms of, like, they give the chairs of the councils, for instance, advice on parliamentary procedure, but the chairs at the end of the day can overrule, like, Robert Epler speaker, and then they can also overrule Robert Epler parliamentarian. This literally does not change anything procedurally except that the speaker cannot vote. Okay. Then we define non-voting members. Word on the street is that there's going to be some amendment debate about this. I think that the way that it's written right now is really excellent because, like, there's a number of reasons. First off, this is the exact same definition as ex officio members. The only difference is that they're not allowed to make motions and they're not allowed to participate in debate. If you look at the Constitution, the only people who are non-voting, like specifically designated as non-voting, are exec members. For instance, the treasurer on the fee review committee is non-voting, whereas the president and the vice president are ex officio. And then there are a couple of other, like, individuals. For instance, the vice provost for academic affairs is a non-voting member of the EOF board. And the purpose of taking away their participation in debate, because this is the hot button issue, is pretty simple. For instance, if you look at the fee review committee, the treasurer is not allowed to participate in debate because they are a fee entity. We don't let any other fee entities come to fee deliberations or even assemblies and councils in which the fee package is heard and then, like, are up here speaking on the merits of the fee package. That's absolutely absurd. There needs to be a mechanism for preventing people who have, like, interests in the passage or the failure of a bill to, like, not be able to influence the outcome. This bill does that. The other thing is that this establishes, like, a separation of the branches that exists in, like, the United States government, the Kansas, like, House of Reps and Senate, which, like, my goal whenever I present a constitutional amendment that, like, deviates from, like, Robert's Rules, for instance, is how can we make our Senate closer to the House of Reps or the Senate, because I think that gives us, like, more legitimacy. And this gives us more legitimacy because think about this. Donald Trump is never on the floor of the Senate debating the merits of bills. He doesn't do that because he's an exec officer. But senators are, because, like, they are deserving of participating in debate. And then the other thing is that, like, in our Constitution right now, all students have speaking rights. That does not change in the passage of this bill because speaking rights and the ability to participate in debate are two separate things. In my opinion, like, the purpose of, for instance, the treasurer being on the fee review committee is that they can be recognized for points of information. Like, they have value in being there because, like, they have access to information that people on the fee review committee may not. But that doesn't mean they should be allowed to participate in debate. Like, functionally, nothing is changing in the passage of this bill. It just makes it so, like, the way that we've been enforcing things is the law of the land. And then the final thing is that it adds the Internal Affairs Director as secretary for fee review committee. We already did this with all of the other fee review committees. So again, like, this is in order of what we've been doing. The body has already affirmed that they like when secretaries, like, are legitimate because it lessens procedural confusion, among other things. So this bill is really excellent. It creates a fair, clear, and consistent system, and it strengthens student senate governance. I yield my time.
Answer questions. Kenna McNally.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
So my question is about having the speaker serve as parliamentarian for every student council. So is the expectation that then the chairs would call up the speaker to come and answer each individual question of parliamentary procedure in each individual council?
To be honest, not really. Like, again, the intention of this bill is to make sure that the parliamentarian is, the speaker is 100% neutral. Nothing will change in how the speaker does their job. It's just like if they happen to be in the room, the chair can consult the speaker, but at the end of the day, it's the chair's decision. They don't have to listen to the parliamentarian.
Nathan Benstock. Briefly.
I have a question about non-voting participation in debate. What do you consider debate? Speech, like between speeches, discussion, points of inquiry, /information. What do you consider debate, and do you think that's clear?
That's an excellent question. According to Robert's rules, participation in debate is only like what I'm doing right now. So they would be allowed to participate in informal discussion. They can obviously be recognized for points of information, things of that nature, as long as they aren't up here debating on bills. That's that.
Okay, that is all our time. If
Motion to extend time.
okay, okay, there's been a motion, or sorry, Yvonne Dominic, motion to. Okay, fine. Jeff Brooker, motion to extend time by 2 minutes. Second from Kenna McNally. Is there any objections to this motion? If not, I'll be unanimous consent. Okay, seeing no objections, therefore be ordered. We extend time. Okay, hands for questions again, please, real quick. Okay, Ivana Dominic.
So then to clarify for the non-voting addition where it says participate in debate, a non-voting member who they would not be able to come up to the mic and give a speech in favor or against, that's what's being classified as debate.
That is correct.
Okay.
Further questions? All right. Oh, yes, Mia.
Sorry, I'm just looking in the Constitution. Currently, are all members of exec non-voting, as in, say, like community affairs director, outreach director, that kind of role? Are those non-voting currently?
That is correct.
Follow up?
Yeah.
Considering there are executive positions that their job is to get information from especially like marginalized groups in the case of the community affairs director, is it a good idea to not give them the ability to speak for or against bills that could seriously impact those groups in their specific role?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. But as I already mentioned, I think that their capacity to be recognized for points of information moots that point. And also, that's not like, this is all hypothetical because we don't even have a community affairs director. You know what I mean?
Yvonne
No,
Dominic.
he's the fund development director.
Briefly.
I had a question regarding non-voting again. So the speaker had mentioned, to my understanding, that non-voting pertains to the executive members or whoever has comma non-voting after their name.
Correct.
A person, like a general student that wanted to come into like a student senate meeting, general assembly, talk about a bill, does that also mean they wouldn't have voting or speaking rights or ability to participate in debates since they are also technically non-voting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does not extend to them because they're not non-voting. It specifically says in the amendment non-voting members. So you have to be a member and students are not a member. And then also, I will say a little bit my fault that the first part of the enacted clauses is taken out of context. If you look at the part of the Constitution that this is going to be inserted into, it makes a lot more sense. Like there would be no question if you're just reading the Constitution through who this applies to.
Okay, that is our time. Thank you very much to our speaker. Speeches. Motion.
I have a motion to amend if nobody else does.
Do you want to? We've got Amendments, puzzle amendments, several on the floor. Can I recognize Nathan for your amendment?
Let me go up and make it. I should
Can we
probably
put it on the board?
Yeah. Can you either teams it to me or just put it in
Can
the
I just
assembly
go in
channel?
reviewing mode and like hit backspace once?
Is it actually that simple? One
Yeah.
backspace?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Fine. I say that because amendments should be written out for some people. If it's something that simple, I'll allow it.
It'll be easy to stay in reviewing mode too.
Yes.
Maybe I should. I'm gonna do it here. How much time do I have?
5.
Okay.
What?
Are you saying?
I'm going to go
This
ahead and
amendment?
get started.
No, I
Okay.
haven't seen it yet.
Well,
Okay,
can you
we
just
good?
brief, like one sentence, say what it is?
Oh,
real
it's
quick?
up there, it's up there.
It's removing the restriction about participating in debate.
Great. Can we get a second for this before we? Great. Second from Ivana. Thank you. Okay. 5 or 3 minutes.
Perfect. So starting off, I really like this constitutional amendment. I think having a parliamentarian would be really beneficial. And I think that y'all should vote yes, but I'm only really doing this because of a couple of words that I'm worried could cause a huge problem here in the future. So as you can see on the screen, I just removed the part about participating in debate. So now it says non-voting members of Student Senate will not make motions or vote in any questions. So it still allows them to participate in debate, meaning that now voting members have full rights, ex officio can just not vote, and then non-voting can just not make motions. I think that that's a clear kind of line of progression there. So here's my reasoning. I have 3 main problems here that kind of lead into one another. First, I think the term participate in debate is very vague. As I'm sure a lot of you know, our debate can look really different depending on the meeting and the context. We can have informal discussion, questions, speeches, points of information, inquiry. All of that can be considered potentially to be part of a debate. There's maybe an argument to be made there. And even if Robert's Rules does have definitive delineation here, I know that we mix it up all the time. So yeah, all of these also look different depending on whether it happens in assembly, councils, or committees. So for example, you can't just jump straight into a presentation or straight into a vote on the fee committee, for example, because you need to have discussion to reach an allocation. And that discussion can take 9 hours in one day and then 2 more meetings. So there's a lot that goes on there. Whenever that delineation for what is and isn't debate isn't crystal clear, I think that chills participation and creates confusion. That's my second reason. It chills participation. If non-voting members are excluded from all debate and what is and isn't debate is vague, then what do they really have left? Why would they show up? Why would any non-voting member besides an advisor ever show up to a meeting if they can't do anything? Fee is a great example. We had 15 plus hours of deliberation, and frankly, I'm worried that like a third or a fourth of the committee would just not feel a purpose in sitting through all those deliberations and all those meetings just to answer points of information and inquiry that people probably won't have. I think in the very end, my third and final reason, I think all this specific couple of words will do is just stir division between our branches. As the previous speaker mentioned, a lot of the people who are non-voting are members of the executive branch and judicial branch, if that ever really starts existing. It's unfair for some of the people who put the most time in Student Senate to not be able to participate. I don't think it really matters how other governments do it. We need to find the solution that works best for us, and I think that is to foster a strong partnership between different branches here while still maintaining some checks and balances and limits, such as not allowing them to make motions or vote. Here's a good example. Some of you might not know this, but the student body president can actually veto legislation that hasn't even been mentioned this year because our branches have done a good job of cooperating and providing input during debate so that we don't have to use like a nuclear solution. Even if the assembly overrides the veto with a 2/3 vote, the student body president can still... Am I out? Oh, I was timing it. I'm so sorry.
If no objections, we'll extend time by a minute and a half. Object. Okay, there's objection from the board.
I object.
Your Honor, if I nominate for a motion to extend time by a minute and a half. Second from Anthony. All in favor of extending time by a minute and a half, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please say no. Okay, time is extended by a minute and a half.
Thank you guys for that. That was my last point. Basically, even if we override the veto, the student body president can still hold it for 10 days, meaning everything will now be delayed by 10 days. That's like a worst case scenario where we all start hating each other. Hopefully that won't happen, but I'm a little scared.
Thank you for that.
Okay, answer questions. Victoria, yes.
Instead of like completely crossing it out, would you support saying like they can't give positive or negative speeches? Because that seems to be, at least in my opinion, the main point of the participate in debate part.
Questions asked about pause negative speeches. Speaker may answer.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of going to roll back to that if it felt like that's what a lot of people wanted. I think that would address a lot of the problems with the vagueness, which kind of, like I mentioned, leads into a couple things. I still believe that they should be able to make speeches. I think there's a lot of benefit that comes from that, and it would allow stronger participation and connection between the branches. But I think I would vote for that, yeah.
Ivana, if you can do it like 10 seconds.
In the speaker's opinion, what do they think would be an alternative form of debate if not for giving positive and negative speeches?
Speaker may answer.
Just like, what do I consider debate that isn't speeches?
What else would be in your experience from student senate?
I think I haven't really read Robert's rules enough to fully decide, but I think informal discussion and things like that are closer to debate than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see our advisors participating in informal discussion.
It's just to define it more. Okay, thank you for that. You may sit down. Wonderful. Okay, so that was a speech on a possible amendment to the bill. Do we have any negative speeches on the amendment? Yes, Jacob. Yeah, you got 3 minutes on your first word. No, you're good.
I probably don't need the mic, to be honest with you. I'm Jacob, if we haven't met. Only been doing this for like 3 weeks, but yeah, I feel like a lot of you are trying to overcomplicate the meaning of debate. To be honest with you, it's clearly outlined in Robert's Rules of Orders, and by you guys kind of like making it so fancy, you're overcomplicating it here. You know, it's debate, it's outlined, it's worded. If we don't have those rules, man, we have nothing. We have chaos, we have anarchy. These rules define us. This defines how we operate. We're getting away from that, and that's not good. We can't muddy the waters with the definition of debate. We have it written down. We know what it is. By doing this and getting rid of that, participating in debate, we're really moving away from that. Also, the quadruple veto is a thing too. So let's just stick to what we know here, guys. Thank you.
Yes, answer questions, please. Yeah. I mean, you can refute, but okay. All hands. Okay, Jeff Brooker.
The speaker was referencing to the definition of debate a lot, so I would like to ask if the speaker would please define that for us.
You may answer.
I mean, I think, you know, I'm new here, man. I said that, but I do know. I think that's kind of a facetious question, to be honest with you.
Whoa.
Because it's written down. You look up Google the Robert's Rules of Order on debate right now, and that's your answer. I don't need to go off the top of my head.
Great. Kenan McNally. Okay. Mia Keen.
I apologize if I'm repeating the question, but how does just striking out the fact that non-voting members cannot participate in debate change the rules of debate and how we interact with that through our Constitution?
Speaker may answer.
I don't think it really does change the rules of debate. I think it strengthens actually the rules of debate by doing that. Okay, next.
Okay. Yvonne Dominic.
Without citing a specific definition from Robert's Rules, could the speaker please clarify what they believe constitutes debate?
Speaker may answer.
The Robert's Rules.
Okay. Jeff
This is okay, but seriously, I mean, the Robert's Rules, they're objective. You know, you could say we have subjective rules of debate, but we all have different opinions on everything. There are objective rules written down for debate. We have different opinions. We come together and we have objective rules that we follow. Okay? Serious. I mean, it was a joke, answer, but like really, there is objective rules. Yeah, I'll do it again.
All right, Jeff Brooker for a follow-up if there's no new question. Okay, seeing no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm not answering this.
Okay, there's a motion to vote on the amendment from Jeff Brooker. There's a second from Sam. All in favor? Motion from Jeff, second from Sam to vote on the amendment. All in favor of approving Nathan's amendment, please say yes.
Try that again, Robert.
All opposed? Hold on. Okay, we're doing a voice vote on the amendment. All in favor of approving Nathan's amendment, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please say no.
No.
Poll.
Dude, that was the funniest speech I've ever heard. That was fucking.
I was really thinking about it.
Does this need 2/3?
All right, that poll is posted. You have 90 seconds. Thanks. This is requires a majority. A vote in favor means that you would like to delete participation in debate. A vote in negation means you want to go back to talking about the main question. Have other amendments, have motions, have all of that stuff for the main question.
How's your spring break?
Where'd you go? My sister was match day for my sister. She figured out where she's going for residency.
Nice. What's she doing?
Okay. You know me, just parliamentarian. My nose is all day. First time I've heard someone get to call people.
Dude, we should just stay here. We should just stay here all night. This is gonna be 11, probably, maybe 12.
Fix the German.
No, we have to stay.
Next cycle will stay.
No. Can we stay at this one too?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Actually,
You should
yes.
make a
You should
motion.
amend the agenda. No, not him.
No.
Okay, that poll is that poll is it? It's deleted on my screen, so I guess it's gone. All right. With a vote of 24 approved and 6 opposed, this meets the majority threshold, and this amendment passes. Well, that's not true. No, you can't do that. Yes, Ivana.
Motion to vote.
There's a motion to vote on the main question. There's a second from Sean Lawson.
Well, I can object. I don't have to. Did you know that?
That poll will be posted in 1 second. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Were there any negative speeches on this amendment? Or I mean on this bill? Okay, great.
I wish. But people would get bored of my voice.
Nathan and I are beefing again.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, so I can just talk whenever I want? I know, but like I'm kind of annoying sometimes, so I try not to.
It's okay. All of us are. This is so
Well, I mean, you guys are cool, so obviously I know you would, but like Ivana and shit, like she fucking.
If anyone should not speak about it's me, I
No, that doesn't sound like you. I'm joking.
Come on, I think him and Avery are there practicing.
Yeah, I want to go.
Let me make sure.
Yes.
The cords? Yeah, we're paying for them. For graduation? Honestly, that's a question for Matea, but we'll have them. We'll have them. Do we get special cords? Oh, fuck.
If you wanted to edit
I actually don't think I do. I think Paige took me away.
Okay, that poll is order, please. Order. That poll is now closed, and with a results. Okay, so that's. Okay, with a.
That one's better.
Yes, no, that's with a result of 14 approve and 2 oppose, this bill passes.
I can get a McDouble.
Okay, it passes. Okay, was there a question from the floor?
Can this guy speak again?
Yes, Kenna.
All right, I'm gonna shut up.
Hey, excuse me. Order, please. Yes, Kenna. Yes. With the results of 14 approve and 2 oppose, this bill passes. Rome. Okay, Jeff, do you have a question? Oh, no questions. Okay, next let's just. What's your question? No, that's a fair motion. Okay, so what is happening? There's that doesn't need a second, correct? Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Zach. What this means, and correct me if I'm wrong on, call me out if I'm wrong on this, is that since we can prove if the legislation can be proved with the poll that quorum was not met, then it's like we never voted on the legislation, and it would, well, we could only do a couple things after that, but it would likely roll over into next cycle.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes,
Also,
Ivana.
If we don't have quorum, wouldn't that mean we couldn't vote on any other legislation in the rest of the agenda?
Correct. The 3 things we could do is adjourn, talk about things, post. Yes, Sahej. No, this is out of order currently. We're still doing this motion from Jeff. Yes, is it? Yeah.
What number do we need for quorum right now?
34, right?
No, because you have to count. Yeah.
It's 30. I think it's 34. We'll double check that though. Or is it 39? Okay, it's 34 is our quorum. Okay, so there's a attendance poll that has been posted that we're doing that for the motion. I'll accept that from Jeff instead of doing a roll call again. So if you are here, fill out the attendance poll. If you know someone next to you went into the bathroom, go get them. Tell them to fill out the attendance poll in the bathroom. If they just walked out of assembly, call them, bring them back. You do have a right to adjourn. We have a lot of other business to do as well. If you have a technological issue, come up to the Internal Affairs Director. Tell them you're here. That's why we're calling it. It's okay. It's okay.
I know you would go down. I know you would. Black. Henry, you're so bubbly and lively today. I love it.
I like light blue. Like, you and
No.
I do. Why not do? What the sun?
That's because it's not like blue. Like sky blue.
So like not Jeff's blue that he's wearing right now.
I like this actually.
Good idea.
Yeah. We're doing a form check.
Did you really think we didn't have speaker rights? Is that why you haven't been as vocal this year? No? Is it just me or is it not a lot more live as well? Yeah. It's like laughing after hours and talking. I love it. It's awesome. Yeah. It's the end of the year. That's what I'll do to you. All the filters are out the door. Everything's unhinged.
Pretty scary.
I am too.
No, you can't leave. You're staying. No, you can't. We're all in this together now.
Quick, we have a resignation.
What? You're gonna fight him?
Also, I have a meeting at 9 a.m.
I'll take it.
Also, I have a meeting at 9 a.m.
Well, I have something at 2 a.m. So.
2 a.m. Consultation with the brother.
I'm closing the deal.
Yeah, but you see, like,
So, how's your birthday?
I'll stand up to change
I was gonna go with DC with Wednesday, but I'm That's so
Second last one. It's like you're gonna pass on the bat and the.
That's joint. There's another site.
Hey, if you haven't voted, vote. We appear visually to have enough people in here. Please, if you have a technological issue, come up, tell the IA, and vote on that attendance poll so that we can show there.
It's 34.
That poll's closed. Thank you guys. Okay, we're good. We have 34. Okay. Okay. I am. What? Sahej? What? No, I'm not recognizing Sahej actually. It has been. Oh my god, what is this motion called? Whatever. It's come to my attention that a lot of people were not aware that this poll was posted, and so we're going to. And I'm forgetting what the promotion is called, but I'm going to consider this that we're going to redo the poll on that last piece of legislation.
Is that a motion to reconsider?
No, we can't do a voice vote. Okay, so then we're going to redo the poll for the last piece of legislation. This is Bill 2026-075. A vote yes, and remember this was amended by the Internal Affairs Director, so the participation debate was crossed out. So that poll is going to be posted in a second. To be clear, we're redoing the poll because we did not have there was an error in the dissemination of what was happening right now. So please turn your attention to your teams and vote on this piece of legislation, the parliamentarian bill, which was amended. Yes, Ivana.
So this isn't a roll call vote. We're actually voting on the legislation.
Correct. This is not for roll call. We're voting on the legislation. We're re-voting on the legislation. The last poll was phooey. We're voting on it again. And that's posted, so it's in order. Your poll is going to close in less than a minute. So if you wanted to vote on this, make sure you're voting on it, all right?
how this side is so spread out. The other side is a lot more congested.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, with a vote of 25 in the affirmative and 3 opposed, this bill clearly passes. All right, so with that, we move on to our next item of the agenda. This is now going to be 2026-077, a bill to amend 2112A, the relaxation of parliamentary rules. So please turn your attention to Rome. You don't have a presentation. That's fine. I'm just gonna pull up the bills.
6 or 7. They give you. She just gave you a look.
Ready when you are.
I think those look good.
Rome, please.
Okay, y'all, I'm just going to keep it cut to the chase here. This amendment is just a simple but important clarification to our rules of procedure. So if you read the current language of our Constitution under this section, it says that the presiding officer may relax certain rules of procedure to promote efficient consideration of legislative business, provided the rules are not in dispute and do not affect the rights of student Senate members. And now that sounds reasonable, but there are 2 main questions I have about this clause. First off, what are the certain rules? That's a little bit vague, and it doesn't say anywhere on the governing documents what defines those certain rules. Second, it says there that the current version protects member rights in theory, but it doesn't specify what those specific rights are or even ground those rights in any authority. And this vagueness creates room for inconsistency and confusion. Let's say, for example, that we are in an assembly meeting and the presiding officer wants to relax rules. Now, the current provision exists to make sure that our meetings run smoother, but let's say that a fellow student senator wants to maybe challenge those rules or question what certain rules that the presiding officer can relax. Well, then we have to be able to crack open a 700-page book mid-meeting, and that's going to be able to figure out what those certain rules are while business is needing to happen under time pressure. And we've seen that happen before with councils and assemblies, and that is what the current language allows. That is the opposite of efficient, which is ironic because the whole point of this clause right here is to promote efficiency when conducting legislative business. So this amendment explicitly ties those protections to the Constitution and Robert's Rules of Order, making them enforceable rather than just aspirational. So I'll just get over here basically it replaces certain rules with actual certain rules that the presiding officer can relax. This includes minor rules such as order of business, recognition of speakers, and time limits. Critically, they cannot use this authority to affect more major rules such as quorum requirements, voting thresholds, constitutional provisions, or fundamental rights of members. This also grounds protection of member rights explicitly both in the Constitution and in Robert's Rules, in which under this language, protection of rights for senators means something enforceable, I just repeat that. Ultimately, this bill is about clarity, consistency, and protecting the integrity of our process and the rights of every senator in this room. And we're not really changing in this section how we operate on a day-to-day basis in our meetings, but ensuring that everyone understands the rules that we are already intending and are supposed to be following in the first place, and just making sure that procedural flexibility that the presiding officer has serves the Senate more in an effective way, because again, we shouldn't need a 700-page book for a 3-sentence provision in our own student Senate Constitution. Thank you. I'll open up myself up questions.
Lovely. Hands for questions. Yes, Ivana.
Could the speaker please provide an example of a minor procedural rule related to the order of business?
Questions been asked about minor procedural rules. Speaker may answer.
If I may ask what do you mean by that? I'm a little
There. Could we get from the questioner some clarification, please?
Yes, sir, Speaker. In the first line of the amendment, under point A where it says relaxation, it says the presiding officer may relax minor procedural rules related to the order of business, comma. and then there's more specific examples. I was just wondering if the speaker could clarify what that looks like.
Oh,
what
yes.
a minor procedural rule is for business.
So
Speaker
those
answer.
are the minor procedural rules that are stated in Robert's rules, which is recognition of speakers, time limits for debate, and I believe that's the other two that says right there. But those are the ones that are stated in Robert's rules of order. This is just tightening the rules under that.
Thank you.
I
That
can't read
is
that from here. I'm sorry.
that is our time. Thank you very much, Rome. You may sit down. Thank you. Yes. Are there any negative speeches on this bill? Okay, seeing that, yes, Jeff Brooker. There's a call to previous question from Jeff Brooker. There's a second from Fisher. That poll will be posted shortly. Nice. We are voting on the legislation itself. And that poll is live. Get out and vote. You have 90 seconds. If you can't, come up, tell the IA. And don't continue debate while we're voting on it, please.
Can I ask a point of parliamentary inquiry really quickly?
Yes. Speaker recognizes Ivana.
So in the legislation that was previously passed, the speaker, as we recognize it for assembly, would be
Parliamentarian.
the presiding officer or parliamentarian.
No, wait.
Would it be within the scope of the parliamentarian's duty to relax minor procedural rules?
So the question's been asked about parliamentarian and presiding officer. These are like traditionally, if you, well,
I think the point I'm trying to make.
yeah, I'm gonna defer to the internal affairs director real quick.
The point I'm trying to make is I'm just trying to get some clarification as to whether this proposed legislation and the one that was just passed would conflict with one.
They don't like interact at all because presiding officers in assembly is the speaker and in councils are the chairs. Parliamentarians are not presiding officers.
Yes. So for further clarification on that, for example, the parliamentarian is the expert advisor on Robert's rules. You can think about it like that. But at the end of the day, the chair still gets to call all the shots because the chair can always get overturned by the body. So if, for example, the parliamentarian notices that something was done incorrectly, they're supposed to try to discreetly notify the chair. And if that is not able to do, then they would, this is like the only time they would rise and speak on something. And then the chair can be like, oh, yeah, you're right. I messed up on that. Thanks. We're going to do it this way. Or the chair can be like, nah, I'm doing it my way. And if the body then is like, oh, actually, the parliamentarian is the expert, I think we should listen to him, they can move to override the speaker. This legislation does not interact in any way with the previous legislation that was passed. We are at the end of our poll is about to be closed. Do we have, are these questions? Yes, Sam.
So the speaker would only be parliamentarian for councils, not for full assembly.
No. I'm going to defer to the op.
Wait, your question was the speaker is only parliamentarian for councils?
Yes.
That is correct, but they're also parliamentarian for block, line, fee.
Okay.
There's no parliamentarian in this body.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And great clarification. Kenna, did you still have a? Okay, great. Okay, that poll is closed with a result of. With the results of 24 approved and 3 opposition, this bill clearly passes. We move on to 2026-086. Alex, what's it called?
Should be neighbors.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm. They're normally in their my office hours. What?
Yeah. Free when you are.
Oh, okay.
You might have to play Zoom, actually. Please turn your attention to Alex Ritter.
Alex Ritter?
Alex Reed. I love doing that.
Yes.
There's another Alex Ritter out there. Don't.
Okay, so first bill of mine tonight. 288 is terms of student senators, and 2810 is replacement student senators and their rules. My bill changes 288 to add a clause showing first-year senators, because at current, if you only read the language, first-year senators aren't senators until joint in April. They're elected in August/September, which means if you get elected in August/September your freshman year, you don't actually become a senator until your sophomore year. This is not how we do it in practice. It is literally just the text. And then 2810, the change there is a new, like designating the replacement senator will take over for the rest of the term, because technically it could also be interpreted like, hey, your election is in February. You don't actually become a senator until joint in April as well. By the exact verbiage. I yield for questions.
Great. To be clear, we're on 8.6 right now, but they are presenting on like the bills they authored. Do we have questions for just for this for 8.6? Okay, thank you very much. We sit down.
Can I just stay up here?
No, because we might have something else. Okay. Speeches in negation. Or any. Yeah. Ivana Parliamentary, what's up?
Speaker Robert, you just said that we're talking about 086, but doesn't the bill to amend include 0808 and 0810?
086.
So technically we are discussing both.
086 being the bill code.
Sorry, can you ask that again?
I think Mia was clarifying it for me. Right, and I thought he was talking about, just only talking about 0808.
What is it? Wait.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
There's still a lot of eights
Oh. Yeah.
No, the next one's the next time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. My confusion. We're all on the same page of 086. I misspoke when I said that they had already presented on 088. A lot of eights. Yeah, yes, Jack. Great. There's a call to previous question from Jack Ritter, a second from Jeff Parker. That poll is posted. Yes, Sam. We're voting on Bill 2026-086. A vote in favor means that you approve the bill. A vote opposed, like we're voting on the legislation itself. 286, a bill to amend our articles 288 and 2810, which is about our first year senators and our replacement senators, their terms, like when their terms. It's just clarifying terms of replacement senators and first year senators. Pretty simple. Okay, you have another like minute, about a little less now. All right. That poll is closed with a result of 8-6. Yeah. 22 opposed, 1 abstention. This bill clearly passes. Twenty-two approved, 1 opposed. All right, please turn your attention towards Alex Reed for 226088.
Is 088 next? Yeah. Okay. Community Affairs has already seen this. This is the shortest speech I can possibly make. We're moving this from one section to another. We're not changing a single other thing. I yield for questions.
Additionally, this was amended in Community Affairs. One word changed, or was changed to and.
I meant to leave it as and I accidentally left it as or in the actual document.
Yes, this is a non-substantive change, actually. But okay, so yeah, I'll answer questions. Okay, so Hedge.
What are the implications of this change?
Question was asked about implications. We can answer.
The only implication is excused absence is referenced twice in the same section, so it's good etiquette in a constitution to have the definitions be at the start.
Ivana Dominic.
Kind of along those lines, but why did the speaker say this is a non-substantive?
There is no.
The speaker, can you answer that, please?
Why
did you say this was a non-substantive amendment?
The question was asked about substantive amendments. I'll direct it to the author.
That no text is being changed. It is literally moving it from 289D to its own very new section at 2114. No text is being changed. No, nothing is being changed. It is literally just moving it from one section of the Constitution to another because it's referenced twice now, both in excused absences for senators and now excused absences in public membership. That's it. And Community Affairs caught my mistake of leaving the other change in, but that's why it is amended by Community Affairs.
Seeing no further questions, thank you very much. Jeff Brooker, yes. Call previous question for Jeff Brooker, second from Victoria Hunter. Poll is live. 90 seconds go. Vote. We're voting on the legislation itself. Do I have it? Mhm. I actually hate you. I'll post it in.
I like this efficiency. It's a real model of
Yeah, I'll post it. I'll post it in the teams.
Whoa, Sasha with some controversial truth nukes. Guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
This is not true. That poll is closing in 16 seconds. Okay, that poll is now closed. With results of 22 approve and 1 opposed, this bill clearly passes. We now move into 2026-063, a bill to propose editing the code. And I believe the presenter is wanting to present with an amendment. That was the reason this bill was so many cycles old, and you can see that proposed amendment in the I'm sorry, I put this in the voting channel instead of the assembly channel, but this voting channel assembly.
Okay. I do not have the amendment in my slides, so we'll have to go from there. The first slide is the same. This is amending the University Senate Code, Article 1, Section 6, which I believe is just about University Senate and its format, essentially. This asks for minutes and agendas to be made publicly available. At this point, they are, but they're not required to be. So this was like 10 weeks ago. This was originally proposed like 10 weeks ago, and it got held up for the amendment. This has changed. This is what the amendment.
Hey, please turn your, excuse me real quick. Please turn your attention towards the speaker, guys. Thank you.
This is what the amendment is on. It no longer says this. Should I pull up the amendment? But that's all I have. I yield for questions.
Answer questions. Thank you. Okay. Not seeing hands or questions. Yes. Okay. You're good. Okay. Speech period done. I'm assuming there's a motion from the author to amend the legislation. Is there a second on this? There's a second from Chris Cooper to amend the legislation to be what was posted in the Teams. All in favor of amending the legislation, please say yes.
Wait, so what you
So Ivana, yes. What?
I'm just asking a question, Robert.
You're good.
So what the speaker just presented was different than what's in Teams? Is that what you just said?
No.
Can you please clarify?
The speaker presented with like the amended version of the bill in mind, but I still need like a motion to actually amend it. This was an amendment that was written up like in between cycles, and it was based on Sasha's conversations with Poppy because there was some pushback, and so it was the big difference is instead of requiring the meeting recordings of the meetings to be posted on the website, it's just that the meeting links and to join the meeting, the agenda and the minutes are posted on the website, and that is all seen in the Teams. Okay, so if there's no debate on this, all in favor of the amendment, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please say no. Great. Therefore, be in order. Jeff Brooker. Kurt's called previous question from Jeff Brooker. There's a second from Jack Ritter. Poll is posted now. 90 seconds ago. Order, please, while voting. Just a few more seconds.
Is the amendment in the ledge tracker? Or is it just...
You can see this legislation all the way, scroll back on the ledge tracker to cycle 8 with both the original and amended version. It's 63, so you're going to have to scroll a few cycles up. All right, that poll is now closed now. Okay, this bill passes unanimously. All right, now we're going to get into our last code change. Yeah, Bill 2026-087. Back again to Alex.
I know you guys must be tired of me and you all want to go home. I generally leave this one up to you. This has passed University Senate. Sasha pushed it through last week on Thursday and pushed it through University Senate. We do not have to pass this. If we want to just say postpone it indefinitely, that is fine. We can also pass in support. That is fine too. This is amending Article 1, Section 5 and Article 6, Section 1 of the University Senate Code, just updating it from 15 years ago to now. It's not anything that is not in our Constitution. It is literally just changing the wording because right now it still has holdover senators as members of University Senate. That's all that this changes. I yield for questions.
Answer questions. Yes, Antonique.
How many words were changed?
question of how many words were changed.
Oh,
Speaker.
this one was essentially a full rewrite of Article 1, Section 4 and Article 6, Section 1. If you look at the bill, it's basically just tear down and then rebuild with the wording that we'd like.
Kenna.
Point of order. This motion is moot because the University Senate already adopted this policy.
Your point of order is not well taken because this is unlike our other code changes that we can control the reason this language is still in there is because this is language that is not part of the articles of the code that we can change. The rules were suspended in University Senate to get this on its way forward. I would agree that the substance of it makes me, but like legislatively, we still have to do something with it, and it does have material value if you want to pass it. If that's your take, Sam.
Can you just outline what us passing this versus us not passing it would actually do?
This is essentially just like what can be seen as like a statement of support. Is like we did not have the student senators on Senex choose to just make this. We as student senate support these changes. We as student senate wanted these changes. We just had the path through University Senate come first, which is why we were also pushing it, getting it passed through councils and now assembly. Is if that path didn't work or if that path was delayed in any way, we would also have it on record of we as student senate want this change as well.
Great. Questions for the speakers? Jeff.
I would like to ask the speaker if this bill was voted no, what the implications of that would be based on the fact that this was already passed in University Senate.
Questions asked on the no vote.
To the best of my knowledge, nothing. It doesn't matter. Like, once again, it is a statement of support. Essentially now a statement of support of the changes that were passed in University Senate. We were going to get it there ourselves. They got it there quicker.
Okay.
As
Yes,
far as I'm
Ivana,
concerned.
question.
Can I make a motion to amend?
After the speaker's time, please. All right. Seeing no questions, thank you very much to our speaker. Are there any negative speeches on this bill? Okay, thanks. Guys, yes, Ivana, yes.
Can I make a motion to amend that under the "and be it ordered" section, that the speaker will transmit copy to the University Senate Vice President?
Yeah, I'll send it to you if you want. There's been a motion to send it to, send this bill to the University Senate Vice President. There's been a second by Jeff Brooker. Yeah. Your point of order is not well taken. This one is so easy. I would be willing to not accept this one in writing. If there's no debate on this simple amendment, all in favor of amending the bill to add Ivana as a recipient, say yes.
Yes.
The University Senate Vice President. Yeah. Okay, yes, it's Ivana. Very fun. Okay. All in favor of the amendment, say yes. All opposed, say no. Great. Done. Okay, Jeff Brooker. There's a call for previous question for Jeff Brooker. There's a second by Gabby Fisher. My bad. Fisher. That poll is now posted. 90 seconds. Go.
My poll is closing. That poll is now closed with a result of this bill passes unanimously. Okay, now moving on to the next item agenda, please turn your attention to the teams for a virtual roll call.
Sorry, motion to adjourn.
Not recognized yet. For a virtual.
Oh, no, sir.
Hold on. Just
Point of order.
Wait for me to recognize you. Jeff Brooker, yes. You have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn for Jeff Brooker. There's a second from Senator Palmer. There's no debate. Are any issues adjourning? Oh my God. You're adjourned at 9:48 p.m. Pretty please throw the roll call poll though. Like, that'd be so cool.
You can fill out the roll call poll though, but we are adjourned. So we can accurately track attendance. That'd be so cool. Have a great night, everyone.
Ivana,